Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto hates Kakashi chunin exams. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Rictor Yagami and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, A Teacher's Nightmare. Yumino couldn't believe on what he was hearing right now. The chunin exams were now coming close soon and Kakashi Hatake, Kurenai Yuhi, and Asuma Sarutobi wanted to allow the Rookie 9 to enter into the exams, which caused him to wonder what these three were thinking. In his honest opinion, none of the Rookie 9 should be going into the exams as they only had about 6 months experience, and he doubted they had killed anyone yet. He had talked with Naruto before when Naruto let him know about his C-turned-a-rank mission, and the young chunin couldn't believe how stupid Kakashi was in continuing the mission and that he ignored the proper protocols that all jonin should go through when a mission has increased in rank. Deciding enough was enough, he started to protest against his fellow shinobi's decisions. Lord Hokage, wait a minute, I protest to this decision. The three jonin and the aged Hokage looked over at Yumino, which caused Hiruzen to voice the question that came to his mind. Yes, Iruka, what is it? Hokage-sama, while I understand that all three teams have gained enough of the required missions in order to compete in the exams, it is too early for them to enter, and they should wait until they have more experience. The group silently listened as Iruka continued to make his worries known to the aged Hokage. Another thing you should know is that I was their teacher and I know more about them as they were once my students, so if anything they are not yet ready for these exams. They need more time or these exams will destroy them. After he was done talking, Kakashi decided to speak his mind on the chunin's opinion about the decision he and his fellow jonin made about their students. When I became a chunin I was 6 years younger than Naruto is now. Naruto is nothing like you, Iruka stated heatedly as he couldn't believe the gall of this man in front of him and stepped forward before demanding an answer. Are you trying to get him killed? Well, they are always complaining about not being challenged enough, so maybe wiping them out in the exams will teach them a lesson. A little pain is good. What did you say? Oh, nothing fatal of course, but seriously Iruka, relax. Iruka growled at how casually the copycat ninja spoke as if he were discussing the weather to him and couldn't believe the nerve of him. Listening, I understand how you feel. It is very personal to you and it upsets you, but, alright Kakashi, back off, you said enough? Kurenai spoke up as she could be more sympathetic toward the young chunin since he was one of the few to be kind to Hinata and try to help encourage her to be better because of the problems the young girl had with her clan. Kakashi, however, would not let up as he wanted to make his point across to both the Genjutsu mistress and Iruka. On the contrary, Kurenai, Iruka needs to hear this. He needs to realize that they are not his students anymore, they are mine. Asuma could only shake his head at Kakashi and wish that he would lay off already. Kurenai couldn't help but frown since she understood Yumino's feelings in the matter. Iruka, however, was not going to back down. Even if the Hokage demanded him to stop, he would get his point across. Well, so far you have been anything but a teacher to Naruto or Sakura. From what I heard, you've been favoring Sasuke over them, and you barely trained them in anything except for one chakra control exercise, which you should have taught them after they passed your test but didn't teach them until a month later. This caused everyone to look at Kakashi, wondering if Iruka was telling the truth or if he was overreacting, as none of the shinobi in the room could think that the copycat ninja was that lazy. As for Kakashi, he couldn't help but frown at the way Iruka was questioning his teaching methods, and before he could reply, Asuma decided to speak. Wait, what do you mean Kakashi taught his students a month later, and who told you this? Naruto told me this, and it was a day after he came back from his mission to Wave Country, which I learned became an A-ranked mission when it was supposed to be a C-rank mission. I honestly didn't believe him at first and decided to ask the Hokage about it to see if it was true. Wait a minute, Kakashi had his students continue an A-ranked mission? Kurenai couldn't believe what she heard and looked to the Hokage to see if it was true, and she wasn't the only one as all eyes came on him. Hiruzen could only sigh as he feared he would be asked about this, and could only tiredly rub his forehead from the minor headache that was starting before answering the question everyone wanted the answer to. In case all of you are wondering, yes, it is true. Kakashi continued the mission to Wave when he found out he was lied to and had asked his students on the matter of whether or not to continue. Unfortunately, they chose to do so. Something I might add was the wrong chose in the matter, as Kakashi should have called for backup before his confrontation with Zabuza Momochi. They ended up facing Zabuza? This came from Anko Mitarashi, who was a beautiful but deadly kunoichi whose hair was purple and in a pineapple style. She also wore a tan overcoat with an orange miniskirt along with a mesh bodysuit that covered her body. Her eyes were light brown pupilless, and she had a large bust. Yes, it is true, Anko, and with Naruto's help he managed to not only save Kakashi, but it helped give Kakashi time to defeat Zabuza and would have landed the final blow had it not been for some outside interference. Hiruzen couldn't help but be proud of Naruto for his quick thinking and then continued on where a masked hunter Nin, who in actuality was Zabuza's accomplice. The Hokage then told the events that took place on the battle at the bridge where they faced off against Zabuza once more with his associate who was called Haku, and the battle that happened on the bridge. Everyone became shocked when they learned that Naruto had unintentionally used the Kyuubi's chakra in order to defeat Haku, and the ending result of the mission where Haku died protecting Zabuza and the demon of the mist killing Gato for his betrayal, and afterwards the bridge becoming complete. After the elder Sarutobi finished his story, Asuma was the first to speak. Kakashi, just what the hell were you thinking on that mission? You took a bunch of newly minted batch of genin on an A-ranked mission and didn't even call for backup? Not only that, you just started teaching them the tree walking exercise after a month? What is wrong with you? The student of the Yondaime Hokage didn't like the way everyone was looking at him and questioning him. While it was true he did bend a few rules, he believed that he was capable enough to handle the mission and protect his students, as he felt that a real-life experience would help make them grow closer together, so he decided to speak out in defense. With all due respect, I felt that I could handle the mission and my students needed to learn to work together since they hardly get along with one another. Being out in the open has actually made them closer and better as a unit, plus with the chunin exams they can learn what the world is like, and that is to kill, or be killed. You are just being lazy and not taking your duty as a sensei seriously. Iruka spoke out as he didn't like Kakashi's attitude and wondered if he didn't realize the danger Naruto and his team would be in if he lost control to the Kyuubi. I am being serious, and perhaps you would like to tell Asuma and Kurenai why they can't let their students compete in these exams? Kakashi spoke in a cold tone to Yumino. Hiruzen didn't like where this argument was going and decided to put a stop to it before things got out of hand. That is enough, both of you. Iruka, I understand your concerns about Naruto and the others, but you need to understand that the choice is not yours to make for them. They are considered adults now by shinobi law and now fall under my jurisdiction. Hokage-sama, with all due respect, maybe we should listen to Iruka since he raises a valid point. I held my students back from entering the exams since I believed they needed more experience. Everyone turned to see Mato Guy, who was the Jonin sensei of Team 9. He wore a green spandex suit with orange leg warmers and his hair was in a bowl style, and he had the largest eyebrows anyone ever seen, but he was one of the most powerful taijutsu users there ever was. Hiruzen considered Guy's words and looked to Asuma and Kurenai for their response, with the two nodding as they wanted to know what faults their students held and might reconsider entering their students for the exams. Looking to Iruka, he spoke to the young man. Iruka, I would like to hear your opinions regarding all the rookie genin that Kakashi, Asuma, and Kurenai want entering the exams, and if your answer is sufficient enough, then I will give my answer regarding the matter. Iruka was a little nervous with everyone in the room staring at him, but he wouldn't back down now, as it was his hope that the Hokage and the others would understand his concerns for his students, especially Naruto. With a deep sigh, he began to speak his opinion regarding the rookie 9. I want everyone to know that I've been keeping tabs on the teams mentioned who managed to pass the test to become genin, and I have my sources which I will not share at this time, but I will start with Team 10. Iruka looked over at the son of Hiruzen, Sarutobi, and began with him. Asuma, I noticed that Choji spends most of his time eating instead of getting motivated to train more with you and his teammates. While I understand that the Akimichi must consume a lot of calories in order to perform their jutsus, but Choji eats far too much. Then there's Shikamaru, who hasn't been taking his training seriously, and I heard he would rather spend his time watching clouds instead of training, plus I have a feeling he is a lot more intelligent than he lets on. And finally we have Ino, who barely trains at all, wasting her time trying to look pretty and is on some ridiculous diet. She's stuck living in some fantasy world where she expects Sasuke will come and save her if she is ever in trouble. Ino really needs to grow up before she ends up getting killed on a real mission or worse. Iruka paused to catch his breath before addressing his comrade once more. I have talked with Choji a few times when he goes out to eat at the ramen stand I go to Naruto with, and I learned that you don't interact with them much and just have them go to their respective clans for training. Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji are not their fathers and should learn to think outside the box, so to speak, because they could end up getting separated, or Shikamaru could end up becoming overstressed if the others become too reliant on him since he's been friends with them longer. Asuma honestly didn't like how he was being addressed like some newly minted jonin, but he held his tongue for now, and he knew he would be hearing it from his old man later on about handling his students. Iruka then turned to Kurenai to address her. Kurenai, I don't question your teaching methods, but I learned that Hinata, Kiba, and Shino don't interact with each other much, and that you act more as an overprotective mother toward Hinata rather than a Jonin sensei. Now before you argue, you should know that while those traits are good, they will not help Hinata develop at all, and she will only continue to lack the confidence she needs. Kurenai bit her lip to keep her anger in check, but decided to listen since she wanted to hear Iruka's opinion about her students, and maybe change her mind if the reason was sound. So with that in mind, she decided to ask about her last two students. And what about Kiba and Shino? Kiba is very brash and reckless, in which he tries to exert his leadership to be the alpha male of the team, as most Inuzuka members do, which could lead to problems between him and Shino, as he is calm, collected, and makes decisions through logic like every member of the Aburame clan. Like Asuma, you have them focus on their clan techniques instead of thinking outside the box, so to speak. You need to be more firm with them to keep them in line, and you mustn't be soft with Hinata a lot. She is a shinobi now, Kurenai, and is no longer a child in our eyes. The Genjutsu mistress wanted to argue with the chunin before her, as she felt insulted, and a small part of her felt that because she was a woman that she was being questioned about her methods, and though she honestly didn't wish to be too strict with Hinata considering her clan looked down on her. Iruka finally turned to Kakashi to address the wielder of the Sharingan with a frown. Finally, there is you, Kakashi, as your team is by far the worst. Every day you show up to your students 2 hours late, and only have them go through team training drill exercises and perhaps only 3 or 4 D-ranked missions before dismissing them. You haven't taught them any other chakra control exercises other than the tree walking exercise which you should have trained them in the first place after they pass your test. Not only that, you do not provide the motivation for Sakura, who has still been on some diet like Ino, and I honestly believe she would take her training more seriously after what happened in Wave Country. Irika, I shouldn't have to tell my students what to do every time we finish a mission or a training exercise, since I'm sure they are old enough to do that by themselves now. You are supposed to be guiding them to be Ninja Kakashi, not babysit them. Another thing I learned is that you are not balancing the team and have been focusing more on Sasuke Uchiha than your other students. I understand the fact that you are the only one who can train Sasuke in the use of the Sharingan, but Naruto and Sakura shouldn't have to suffer because of your favoritism, especially when Naruto wants to become a ninja and is taking his training more seriously. Kakashi could only frown at the accusation that Irika was giving and even having the nerve to question him, thinking he was incompetent in his training of his own students, and decided to lay down his own verbal assault. If you have such concerns for Naruto Irika, then maybe you should have let him pass on his second attempt at the academy instead of holding him back. After all, you allowed Guy to take a student who was better off being kicked out since he couldn't perform a simple jutsu at all. This caused everyone in the room to frown, and it made Guy glare at Kakashi for using such a remark about his student, since he knew no one supported Lee, and he was made a genin, thanks to him sponsoring his student, and a part of him wished that Naruto was sponsored by someone who could look past his status as a Jinchuriki. Irika didn't like the remark on how Kakashi was accusing him of purposefully holding back Naruto, and before he could say anything else, the Hokage decided to end this before things really got out of hand. That is enough of this right now. Kakashi, you had better not ever accuse Irika with something like that ever again, considering I could accuse you of weakening our forces from the genin teams that you had failed over the years. Hearing that from the aged Hokage caused Kakashi to become silent, as he felt that was a low blow from him, since he believed none of the previous teams understood the values of teamwork. Hiruzen then looked to Irika. Irika, you have made your point, and once more I understand your concerns for the genin that were your students, but you can't always be there for them, including Naruto, so you must trust in their judgment if they wish to take these exams. Hokage-sama, I'm sorry if I am out of line, but are you serious? Do you honestly believe that a bunch of rookie genin who only have 6 months of experience, and most likely have never killed before, are able to take on other genin who probably have more experience, and have even killed before, be able to survive in the chunin exams? Everyone within the room began murmuring about the question Irika posed to the Hokage, and some even wondered the same thing, as they knew the chances of newly minted genin becoming chunin was 1 out of 100 chances. The Hokage decided to end this debate with an idea that came to mind that would work in everyone's favor. I have decided on how to end this debate, and there will be no arguments to my decision. As of this moment, I will have a couple of my best chunin test out the current rookies to see on whether or not they are ready for the chunin exams. Irika, I want you to stay for a moment, while the rest of you are dismissed. Every shinobi had left the room except for Irika, as he wondered if he was in trouble for his outburst toward Kakashi and the others. When the last person left, it was just now Irika and the old Hokage, who calmly walked up to him and gave him a stern look. Irika, I understand on why you do not wish for the newest graduates from the academy to enter into the exams, especially Naruto, but you can't always be there for him, and your outburst may have caused you to lose some respect from your peers. Now, why did you act the way you did? Irika could only hold his head down, as he knew he angered the Hokage, as his emotions had gotten the better of him. With a resounding sigh, he looked to the aged shinobi and began to explain himself. I'm sorry for how I acted, Hokage-sama. There was no excuse for my behavior, as it was unprofessional, and I should have been more understanding of your decision along with the others. As for the reason I acted the way I did, I won't make excuses for it either, since my reason is childish. What was your reasons then, Irika? I had a nightmare, Hokage-sama, and it had something to do with Team 7. Hiruzen stared at the young man in disbelief and wondered if he was serious. Looking into his eyes, he could tell that Irika meant every word and wanted to know more about this. I'm sorry, Irika, but what does having a bad dream have to do with the chunin exams and with Kakashi's team entering into it? What I saw in it frightened me, Hokage-sama. So much so that it felt real, and it felt like a bad omen. What exactly was it you saw, though? Irika took a deep breath to collect himself before sharing his nightmare with the god of shinobi. I was standing in the Konoha cemetery, and it was at night with the weather being filled with storms. I was wondering why I was here when I saw Kakashi, Kurenai, Asuma, and you along with everyone I knew standing before a grave shedding tears for whoever it was. I made my way over and I tried to speak, but I couldn't for whatever reason. I stood before the grave, but there wasn't any name on it except for a blood stain and the symbol of the leaf. That is when I noticed that Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura were nowhere among the crowd, and that was when I realized one of them must have died. The next thing I know, I heard a hissing sound coming from somewhere. It grew louder by the minute, and when I turned around I saw a huge white snake with glowing yellow eyes, and it had a Hittite in its mouth that was covered in blood. Hiruzen Sarutobi became slightly pale when he heard this from the young chunin before him, since this could only mean one thing, and it involved his traitorous student. Hokage-sama, are you alright? Shaking his head to clear his thoughts, Hiruzen looked at Yumino before replying to him. I'm alright, Irika. I was just surprised by what you said, as it reminded me of something from my past. Irika wondered what he meant by that until he realized on what, or rather who, the Hokage was speaking about, but before he could make a reply, Hiruzen held up a hand silencing him. I know what it is you are about to say, but I rather you didn't. Do not worry though, I will make sure to add extra security during the exams to make sure nothing happens to anyone whatsoever. Thank you, Hokage-sama. If that is all, I will take my leave, and I hope it was just a bad dream. With those words, Iruka bowed to Hiruzen before taking his leave, leaving the aged Sarutobi with his own thoughts. I hope that you are right, Iruka, and that all it was for you was just a bad dream. I just pray that it is, and Orochimaru does not take the life of Naruto, or anyone for that matter. To be continued. Chapter 2. A Tragic Day. Anko was hurrying as fast as she could through the forest of death. Earlier on, Anko had finished explaining the rules to the second part of the exam, and was quietly enjoying some dango and red bean soup while listening to the screams of the competitors. She wasn't bothered by the sounds, considering she was a part of the torture interrogation force under Ibiki Marino. That was when she was approached by Izumo, Kotetsu, and Mizuku. Flashback. Anko, there you are! The Tokubetsu Jonin looked up to see the three chunin before her from the first stage of the exams, and from the look on their faces she could tell that something was wrong, including the tone of their voices. What's wrong, Izumo? There is something that you need to see right away. Anko quickly got up and followed after her allies to see what was going on, to see what had gotten them all spooked. It didn't take long as they came upon three bodies lying on the ground in front of a couple Buddha statues. I went through their belongings and found their identifications. Shinobi from Kusagakure. All three of them were registered for the chunin exams. They weren't just killed. Anko's face took on an angry expression as her fists clenched together in anger before replying. All their faces, they're gone. Yeah, there's nothing where their faces used to be, like they melted or something. Hearing this, Anko's hand slowly went to the back of her neck while staring at the corpse. No doubt about it, this is his jutsu. An image came to the Tokubetsu Jonin's mind, and it was one that caused her to feel both anger and a bit of fear. Why is he here? What's he doing at the chunin exams? Nothing was said for what seemed like hours, when it was only a few minutes before Anko looked over at Mizuku and spoke with authority. Okay, I need photos of what these three used to look like. Where are their IDs? Right here, ma'am. Mizuku presented the IDs to the Tokubetsu Jonin, and when she got a look at them she immediately knew who it was. So this is the face he stole. Anko's eyes then widened when one thought came to mind. Had it already happened when? Anko remembered back to when she was scaring Naruto for fun, and the kunoichi that was behind her snuck up to return the kunai but had some dark intentions behind her, or rather, him. Snapping out of her thoughts, she turned to the three chunin before her. We've got big trouble. Huh, okay, get moving. Tell Hokage-sama what has happened here. And while you're at it, tell ANVU Black Ops they better get a couple of convoys to the Forest of Death. Meanwhile, I'm going ahead and after these guys. Now go. Anko, wait. Let two of us go with you and have at least one of us tell Hokage-sama. Kotetsu spoke up as he had a bad feeling of what was going on and felt that the Tokubetsu Jonin should have at least a few people with her if things were as serious as they are. Now, I don't need anyone slowing me down. Just go and do as you're told. Without another word, Anko leaped over the cage and into the forest with one thought in mind. Orochimaru, I don't know what you are up to, but I will kill you even if I have to die trying. End of flashback. Anko had been hoping that she would find her traitor sensei and make him pay for what he did to her all those years ago, as her life was made miserable because of him, and wanted to kill him in the most painful way ever. She was cut off from her thoughts when she heard the voice of someone she was not expecting. Anko, wait. The purple-haired kunoichi turned around to see Kakashi Hatake, and from the look on his face he looked quite upset about something. Kakashi, what are you doing here? I was contacted by Kotetsu and Izumo to find you when you went off into the forest, and I had to summon Pakken in order to do so. To prove his point, the Nin dog came up from behind Kakashi and stood next to the Jonin, and then the Sharingan user looked at Anko. Just what is going on, Anko? You didn't explain the situation fully to the others, so I want to know what is going on right now. Weren't you told already by those three? I was, but Izumo and Kotetsu felt you were holding back more information than usual, so what has gotten you all spooked? Anko didn't want to waste time answering questions right now, but knew Kakashi wouldn't drop the matter, and so with reluctance she began to explain. I know who it is that is behind this. But I don't know what the bastard's motives are right now, but he has to be here for a reason. Exactly who are you talking about, Anko? The very same bastard that abandoned me and left me to pay for his crimes. Who do you think? Anko spoke with an edge. This caused Kakashi's exposed eye to widen in shock before it narrowed, and when he spoke to the Tokubetsu Jonin his voice to on a serious tone, with some anger. Don't tell me you are going to try and fight Orochimaru on your own? And so what if I am? Do you not realize just how insane and idiotic that sounds? There is no way you could match Orochimaru, and even I have doubts that I could even beat him, much less kill him. Maybe you can't, but I can and will. You don't even know where he is. Before they could argue any further, Pakken let off an annoyed growl, cutting off the two's arguing, and looked at the small dog who spoke up. Look, you two. Unless you want to continue your pissing match, do it another time, because right now we need to find Orochimaru and fast, but make sure to bring some backup and find out whom he is after. Kakashi was about to make a suggestion when the three of them were hit with a huge wave of killing intent, but there was something else with it, and to their horror it was a chakra that they had not felt in years. For the love of Kami, it can't be. That's the Kyuubi's chakra, and that could only mean something's happened to Naruto. Without another word, Kakashi ran in the direction of where it was coming from and looked back over at Pakken and Anko. Follow me right now. We have to see what the hell is going on. The two didn't waste any time and began following the copycat ninja, who pulled out a headpiece radio from his front vest pouch, connecting it to his ear and began to speak into it. This is ANB Unit 1 speaking. Tenzo, it's me Kakashi, I need you in the Forest of Death ASAP. What's going on, senpai? It's Naruto. I think he is using too much of the fox's chakra. I'll be over there as soon as I can. Tenzo out. Kakashi hurried as fast as he could to where his students were with only one thought in mind. I hope I can make it in time before Naruto loses control. In another part of the forest, Team 8 was quietly spying on the team from Sunagakure, and was afraid of the team after seeing what the red-haired one did to the team in front of them. They were about to leave as quietly as possible away from them when they felt the enormous amount of killing intent and a dark chakra coming from somewhere in the forest and wondered what was going on. Gaara, who had been in the middle of arguing with his older brother, suddenly grasped his head and began to shake uncontrollably as he and his siblings suddenly felt the chakra and killing intent as well, causing Temari to shake in fear while silently thinking to herself, just what is this I am feeling? It feels just like when Gaara uses the power of Shikaku, only this is a lot worse. Before anything could be said, Gaara immediately took off in the direction from where the foul chakra was coming from, a look of madness on his face that craved blood. Gaara, where the hell are you going? Kankuro called out to his younger brother, wondering why he was leaving them. We have to following him. Temari spoke up to her sibling as she started to move after Gaara but was stopped when Kankuro grabbed her by the arm. Are you nuts, Temari? I've seen that look in his eyes before and I don't want to be anywhere near him when he's in that state, because if you do follow him you will die for sure. He's our brother, damn it, and if you won't help then stay out of my way. Temari shook off his hand and took off after Gaara, forcing Kankuro to curse before taking off after her as well. Kiba, who had been watching the whole time, looked over to his teammates and spoke to them. Come on, let's follow those guys and find out what's going on. Shino, however, was more calm and collected and was more cautious than the young Inuzuka before him. That would be an illogical decision, Kiba. If you are wondering why, it is because we will be heading into unknown dangers that might be even worse than what we had just witnessed before us from the team from Suna. But I want to know what has gotten those guys all freaked out and on why they are not heading to the tower. Come on, Hinata, help me out here. The shy Hyuga heiress honestly didn't wish to follow the team from Suna, but something in her heart was telling her to find out where that hate-filled chakra was coming from. If anything, something is telling me that Naruto might be in trouble. Taking a deep breath to relax herself, she came to a decision. 2BB believe we should follow them, but we should keep our distance so they don't know we are following them. And whatever it is that is causing this, we shouldn't engage with it, and try to reach the tower. Shino did not like where this decision was going, but knew that if he did not agree then Kiba would foolishly follow the Suna shinobi without them and might end up getting killed. With a resounding sigh he nodded to his team. Very well, but let us keep our distance from them so to avoid confrontation, and whatever it is we find that has caused such a disturbance we leave for the tower, no exceptions. Nodding to the young Aburaim, the students of Kurenai followed after the three from Suna. However, unknown to the two teams, they were not the only ones to feel the disturbance. In another part of the forest, Ino, where the hell do you think you're going? Shikamaru was calling out to their blonde teammate as he and Choji were running after their blonde teammate, wondering why she was running off into the direction that the foul chakra was coming from. Because I want to make sure that Sasuke-kun is alright, that's why. Whatever it is that's doing this, I want to help him. She then thought silently to herself, there is also the fact Sakura could be in trouble and I don't want her getting hurt from whatever this is. This is insane and plain out stupid. What the hell do you honestly think we can do to help? You can run away if you want, but I'm seeing what this is. Choji, who had been silent, was considering what to say to talk his friend out of going. Earlier on he and his friends had encountered Niji and retreated as they knew they stood no chance against the Hyuga prodigy. Ino had almost caused a fight to happen, but it was avoided and they were trying to find a team weak enough to get the scroll they needed to pass, but then they felt this strong bloodlust and something evil. Ino began thinking about both Sakura and Sasuke, wondering if they were alright. If they were anywhere near this, she had to find them and get them out of here. And while she and Sakura had ended their friendship over Sasuke, she honestly wanted to be friends once again. With that thought in mind, she took off with Shikamaru and Choji going after her, wondering what she was thinking. The young Akimichi decided he had to reach out to her and try to talk her out of rushing off to what may be her death. Ino, we should turn back and head to the tower to find help, because if Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke are in trouble, we might need someone with more experience. Shikamaru was a little surprised by the logic in Choji's suggestion, and before he could respond, Ino shouted to her teammate angrily, "Damn it, Choji, we don't have time for it. Because if we do turn back, Sakura and Sasuke might end up dying." The daughter of Inoichi went picking up speed, going ahead of her two friends, with Choji looking over at his longtime friend and speaking with concern. "I don't like where this is going, Shikamaru. Shouldn't we try and stop her?" Sigh. It's going to be such a drag, but we better follow her to make sure she doesn't do anything stupid and to get herself killed. That's all we can do for now, Choji. The young Akimichi didn't like the idea, but he trusted his friend's judgment, so with a nod of his head they followed after Ino. Unknown to the students of Asuma Sarutobi, they were being followed by another team, only this group wasn't from their village and were a few feet behind them. The three individuals wore camouflages like clothing, and their hitayate had the symbol of a music note which represented their village. One had black spiky, dark hair and dark eyes while wearing a beige shirt with two black stripes and three prints of the kanji for death down the front. His Hitayate had an attached hapuri under the cloth rather than the connected metal plate like his other teammates, and wore a snake-patterned scarf around his neck. He then looked over to one of his teammates, who was the leader of the group. "Hey Dosu, why are we following these weaklings when we already have a mission?" The one called Dosa looked at his teammate with a bit of annoyance. Dosa had bandages covering most of his face, leaving only his left eye uncovered. He also wore a large poncho with long sleeves, and had a snake-patterned scarf around his neck as well, along with a straw raincoat protruding from the back of the scarf, and the most notable thing about him was the large amplifier on his right arm. "Because Zaku, they might lead us to our target, and whatever is causing this might end up killing the one we are after, and I do not wish to fail Lord Orochimaru." Zaku could only frown from hearing this, as he didn't wish to fail the one who had given him power, and the very reason for his purpose in life. He then looked over to his other teammate, who was the only female, and spoke to her with an edge. "You better not screw this up for us, Kin." The one named Kin could only glare at Zaku for his remark. Kin had very long black hair, almost reaching to the ground, tied by a violet ribbon right near the end, and black eyes. She wore a Hitayate as well, along with a pale green vest somewhat similar to a flak jacket, and also wore a snake-patterned scarf around her neck as well like her teammates. She replied back to her own teammate with the same tone to him. "The same should go for you, considering you went becoming a science experiment in order to become stronger. Enough, both of you. We will follow those three and see what is causing this kind of bloodlust." Dosa's teammates nodded and continued to follow after the students of Asuma, wondering where they could be taking to. In another part of the forest. "Damn it, Lee, come back here, you idiot!" The shout came from a young girl who was dressed in a pink sleeveless chipao-style blouse with red sleeve trimmings and yellow fastening buttons as well as dark green pants, a pouch adjusted to her thigh, and standard blue ninja sandals. This was Tenten of Team 9 and student of Mado Guy. Running beside her was her other teammate, and this one had long black hair that reached the middle of his back and was tied back a few inches above the end in a loose ponytail, while two straps attached to a smaller headband underneath his Hitayate. The most notable feature about him was his eyes, in which showed he was a part of the famed Hyuga clan. This was Niji Hyuga, who was the cousin of Hinata and another student of Mado Guy. Up ahead of the two was another student of Guy's, and he was dressed exactly like his sensei, and even had his hair in the same style as his master, and even sported huge eyebrows like Guy. This was Rock Lee, the self-proclaimed Konoha's green beast. Looking back over at his teammates, he spoke in a determined voice. "We must see what is causing this Tenten, for the lovely Sakura-chan could be in trouble along with her teammates. To not aid our fellow Konoha shinobi would be most unyouthful." Tenten could only shake her head while groaning and blamed her sensei for Lee's behavior. She honestly wondered what he saw in that girl who he just met for only one day, and wondered if he was hit one too many times by Niji. Hinata's cousin saw the annoyance in his teammate, and responded to her with a stoic tone. "It is useless to try and reason with that idiot Tenten. Perhaps when he fails in these exams he will realize that it is his fate to always remain a loser, and he will not amount to nothing, especially when he so foolhardily believes the Uchiha's teammate will return any affection toward him for saving her." Tenten honestly wondered what her spandex-wearing teammates saw in the pink-haired Kunoichi, as she didn't seem all that special in her view, and after seeing how she acted during the beginnings of the exams she labeled her off as a fangirl. With a sigh, she and Niji picked up the pace in order to catch up with their energetic friend. At the source of the disturbance, Sasuke could only tremble in fear as he watched Naruto fight off the shinobi who had turned out to be Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin who had trained under the Sandaime Hokage and one of Konoha's greatest traitors for the countless inhumane experiments he did on both allied and enemy shinobi alike. But what frightens the Uchiha the most was the strange glowing red chakra that surrounded Naruto, and the strangest thing about it was that the cloak had the form of ears and one tail around him. Just what the hell was going on? Standing a few feet away from the Uchiha and the fight that was taking place, Sakura was lying unconscious, but there was someone standing guard over her, watching in both awe and fear. The person in question was a girl who looked to be around Naruto's age, was dressed in a tan shirt with black shorts, and a ninja mesh shirt under the tan shirt. She was wearing a Hitayate that showed she was from the village of Kusugakure, and she wore brown-colored glasses. But the most noticeable feature about her was that she had long red hair and crimson-colored eyes, which gave her a unique kind of beauty to her. The Kunoichi from Kusugakure couldn't believe this was the same boy that had saved her from a bear not too long ago, when her teammates were killed, and thought back to that encounter. Flashback. The young Kunoichi was running as fast as she could from her pursuer, who happened to be a giant-sized bear that was at least 3 times bigger than the average bear. The carnivore had been chasing the girl for over an hour, and was not showing any sign of letting its prey escape. The girl had avoided being eaten by the bear and its pack while trying to find a team with the Heaven Scroll, only to stumble upon the bear and its pack, which caused her two teammates to meet their unfortunate end. She then tripped over a small stone that was sticking out, causing her to fall over with her glasses falling off her face. She desperately tried to find her glasses, but then heard the beast coming closer, and closed her eyes expecting for the end. But that was when something unexpected happened. "Hang on, I'll save you." The next thing she knew, she was scooped up into the air by someone, and then heard the sounds of the beast getting pummeled by what sounded like at least 30 people before hearing it crash into the ground. She was then gently placed onto the ground and then heard that someone speaking to her. "Here, I think these must belong to you." The young kunoichi felt something placed in her hand which she realized were her glasses and quickly placed them on to look at her savior, and was shocked to see who rescued her. Standing before her was a shinobi wearing a bright orange jumpsuit with blonde hair and wearing a hitite showing that he was from Konohagakure. The most striking feature about him was that he had the most gorgeous blue eyes and noticed the whisker-like marks that made him look cute. "Are you okay?" She quickly shook her head after hearing him speak out to her, causing her to respond. "Yes, I am. Thank you for saving me. Where are the rest of your teammates?" She held her head down and fought hardly to hold back the tears that were about to drop. She then felt a hand on her shoulder, causing her to look up and seeing the understanding look in his eyes. "I'm sorry, I didn't know they were gone." "It's all right, you didn't know. Now I'm lost and I don't know where to go. You can come with me and my team, and we can take you to the tower with us." This shocked the redhead, and she spoke out in surprise. "You would do that?" "Of course I would, but I am not from your village." "Just because you're not from my village doesn't mean I'm going to leave you here to die in this place. That would be the wrong thing to do, and I am not heartless." She could see the truth in his eyes and saw that he was completely honest with her. With that in mind, she nodded at him. "By the way, what's your name?" "My name is Karen. I'm Naruto Uzumaki." Karen became shocked when she heard his name, but before she could ask him something he spoke to her again. "Listening, Karen, we have to find my team because they might be in trouble, so let's hurry up and leave because the sooner we find them the faster we can get out of this forest." Naruto then gestured for her to follow him and the two ran off in search of his team, with Karen silently thinking to herself, "I really hope he is an Uzumaki, and the first chance I get I'm going to ask him, because if he is, then I am not alone anymore." A few feet ahead of the two, Sasuke and Sakura trembled in fear of the kunoichi in front of them. They had lost track of Naruto, and Sakura believed that they had found them, but then the Uchiha had found out that the Naruto in front of them was an imposter, as Sasuke knew that Naruto couldn't remember the password that he came up with. The two of them thought they might have been able to take on the kunoichi, but found out that they wouldn't stand a chance after being hit by a massive killing intent which caused them to flee from the enemy ninja. Sadly though, she caught up to them and had them cornered, and she had a sickly smile on her face. "Well, this is such a disappointment. I had thought that the last Uchiha would have given me such a challenge. A pity though, seeing as you is just a coward with a useless kunoichi by your side, so I will just end this little chase." The Kusa shinobi then did something inhumanely possible, and started to slither her body across the giant branch on the tree that Sasuke and Sakura were standing on, freighting the two even more, and before she could reach her target she was cut off by several shurikens stopping her in her tracks. The Kusa kunoichi was wondering where the attack came from, but then a shout was heard. "Hey Sasuke, Sakura-chan!" Everyone looked up to see who it was, and Sakura was the first to reply in relief. "Naruto!" The orange-clad shinobi was standing with his trademark grin, but the pink-haired shinobi saw that he wasn't alone, as there was some red-haired girl with him, but noticed she was from another shinobi village. She was wondering what that girl was doing with Naruto. "So Sasuke, what was that password again?" Sakura wanted to yell at him for being stupid, but knew that now wasn't the time for it. "Forget it, I know it's you made it. And just who is that girl with you?" Karen shot Sakura an annoyed look while silently thinking to herself, "Shish, she could at least say thank you for saving her, and that other guy the stupid jerk." Anything else Karen was going to say was cut off by Sasuke. "Naruto, get out of here! What are you thinking? You don't know what you're up against." The Uchiha turned to look at him, and gave him an angry look. "Hurry, go now while you still can." The Kusa shinobi looked over at Naruto. "So Naruto, you managed to escape from my friend, well done." Naruto looked at the shinobi before him and silently came to a conclusion. I get it. So that wasn't just any random giant snake attack, the snake was sent by her. Or whatever this demon is." Karen looked at the kunoichi and couldn't help but shiver in fear at what she felt. Something is not right about this shinobi. Her chakra is so dark and foul it reeks of evil and death. While Naruto and Karen were silently studying the Kusa kunoichi, Sasuke was silently wishing Naruto and whoever that girl was with him would get the hell out of here. He doesn't get it, he doesn't know what he's dealing with. "What do I do?" When Sasuke was considering his next option, he heard Naruto speak out. Okay, I don't know what's going on here, but you've been picking on my friends and I don't like that. So you just better slither back onto your hole before I make a pair of shoes out of you, snake lady. Sasuke became shocked, but soon his shock turned to anger at Naruto's outburst. "Huh! Little idiot, he's just going to get all three of us and whoever that girl with him is killed. I've got to do something, but what?" Sakura was quietly wondering on what was going to happen and looked over at Sasuke, wondering if he would fight and if Naruto would help him. The Uzumaki in question looked ready to fight, but he then whispered over at Karen. "Karen, listen, when I go to attack this snake demon, I want you to try and get to Sakura, and then both of you hide. I will let you know when it will be safe to come out." The red-haired shinobi looked at him like he was crazy and whispered back. "I can help too, I'm not letting you fight her alone. But you're worn out as it is and Sasuke will back me up, so don't worry about it." While the two were silently discussing, Sasuke was coming to a decision of his own. "It's no use, there's only one way." The Uchiha then spoke to the Kusa shinobi. "You can have it." This surprised everyone when they heard this, with Naruto and Sakura looking at Sasuke in shock, while Karen thought to herself, "I can't believe this guy, he's giving up?" Sasuke reached into his pouch before pulling out the scroll they had. "The scroll, right? That's what you want. All right then, take it and leave us in peace." Naruto had only one response to that. Huh! Sakura was the same way, as she couldn't believe what she was hearing, with the Kusa Kunoichi grinning evilly. Naruto, however, didn't remain silent for long, calling out to his teammate. What, Sasuke, are you crazy or what? We're just going to hand over the scroll over to the enemy? No way, what's wrong with you? Shut up and stay out of it. What? Naruto couldn't believe on what he was hearing, and the enemy before them spoke. Very wise, very sensible. Sometimes the helpless prey, if they are to save their own skins, realize that their only hope is to distract the predator with something even more far precious. After those words were said, Sasuke spoke out and tossed the scroll. Take it. Time seemed to move slowly as the scroll slowly made its way over to the kunoichi before suddenly Naruto darted over and grabbed the scroll before landing right next to Sasuke, with the Uchiha becoming irate and started yelling. Stop being the hero, Naruto, just stay out of this and leave it to me. Wham! Sasuke was hit with a vicious right hook, sending him flying, with Sakura looking on in shock at what he'd done. Karen, who saw this, was shocked for a moment before shaking her head and started silently making her way over to where Sakura was. Sasuke landed on another branch before glaring angrily at Naruto. You stupid fool! You don't know what you're doing. Naruto was taking several breaths trying to calm himself before replying back to the Uchiha. I may not know the password, but I know who I am. You're the one I'm not so sure about. How do we know you are who you say you are? Sakura couldn't believe what she was hearing and spoke out. What do you mean? It's him, don't be so stupid. Sasuke wasn't the only one thinking the same thing. What sort of nonsense is this? It's me, you loser. Liar, you think that just because you're almost worn out you should just give? Since when did Sasuke become a coward? You're nothing but a fake, a fraud. The sound of chuckling caught Naruto's attention as he turned around to face the enemy that had attacked his friends. He noticed that she had pulled up her sleeve, revealing what looked like tattoos. It is sad but true on what you say, Naruto, as I expected a lot more from the last Uchiha, but I decided I will kill you all to get the scroll and just be on my way. The Kusa Kunoichi then bit her thumb and began to smear the blood across her tattooed arm, before going through hand seals, causing Naruto to act fast by pulling out a kunai and rushing across to stop whatever jutsu the enemy was performing. I can't rely on Sasuke, so it looks like I'm on my own. But Naruto arrived too late, and the enemy already performed the jutsu that was intended. Kuchios no Jutsu. A huge gust of wind picked up before a cloud of smoke appeared, and Naruto was staring down another giant snake with its master on top of its head, and the female gave off a cold chuckle. Devour him, my pet, and be quick about it, as I have no time to play with him. The giant snake raised its tail before swinging it down toward Naruto, catching him by surprise and smashing the branch he was on, causing him to fall, with Karen watching in horror and his teammates screaming out to him. Naruto! The blonde shinobi crashed through several giant branches before coming to a stop, landing hard on one, causing him to gasp in pain. Sasuke was too terrified to do anything and could only watch as Naruto began to plummet toward the giant serpent with its master chuckling. HM, enough playing around, finish him off. Karen, who had been hiding and getting closer to Sakura, could only watch in despair and was about to run to help Naruto when she began to sense something coming from him. Wait a minute, what is this I'm feeling from Naruto? It feels so dark and evil. As Naruto slowly began falling toward the snake, his eyes shot open, revealing a pair of crimson eyes, his pupils now slitted. Naruto soon flipped over with his leg in the air and shouted out, Yeah, eat this. Wabam! The giant snake shook in pain, causing it to shudder and shocking its summoner. The summons then hissed at Naruto, who glared back at the snake, and the kunoichi noticed the look in Naruto's eyes, shocking her even more. But how? It's impossible. Naruto soon went on the offensive and began raining down punches on the serpent with blows so hard that the impact from the blows caused the few giant branches it was on to snap into pieces. Sakura and everyone looked on in a way, and the pink-haired kunoichi was the more outspoken one while speaking to herself. Look at him, he's gone nuts. Whoa, where did he get that kind of power all of a sudden? She wasn't the only one, as Karen managed to make her way over to Sakura and was wondering the same thing. I never knew Naruto was this strong, but I can't help but feel disturbed about this power he is using. It isn't warm and gentle like when I first meet him, it's very dark and hateful. Naruto continued his assault before the serpent flicked him away with its tongue, sending him back, but the Uzumaki bounced off another tree before going full force at the shinobi in its summons. But the summoner smirked before raising her hand and blowing a giant ball of fire to shoot out and engulf Naruto in the flames, sending him back flying through several trees before collapsing onto another tree. This caused the enemy shinobi to access her opponent and come to a conclusion. That fire in his eyes, there is no mistaking it. Sasuke, who had been watching throughout the whole thing, could only think of one thing to say. Whoa, is that Naruto? The Kusa Genin had similar thoughts. Oh, things have gotten very interesting. She then turned her attention back to Sasuke. Now then, let's see how well you do, Sasuke. The giant serpent then lunged at Sasuke with the intent of devouring him whole. The Uchiha was frozen in fear as he saw the giant snake coming at him. He tried to move, but all he could hear was the sound of his heart beating, and his legs would not respond at all. Sakura could only look on in horror as she saw her crush standing there helpless, and could only shout out to him. Sasuke! Karen, who had been watching, decided enough was enough and was about to try and help out when she saw something, or rather someone, charging right at the summons with a kunai in hand. Before the snake could reach its prey, it was struck down hard. Ba-boom! Everyone stood in shock as Naruto had the summons down with his kunai impaled in its nose, breathing heavily as no one said a word to him. Finally it was Naruto who broke the silence as he addressed his teammate. Hey Sasukiri, not hurt are you? You scaredy cat. Sasuke became shocked when he heard this from Naruto, as remembered on their first mission outside the village when he saved him from the demon brothers and had made fun of him, asking if he was all right but insulted him. He was brought out of his thoughts when he heard his teammates speak to him once again. Just look at you right now, acting like a scared little rabbit. I thought you were a strong rival, Sasuke, but you are nothing more than a spoiled, ungrateful little wimp pretending to be a ninja. Naruto was soon felt something grabbing him and was lifted up into the air and realized what was holding him, as it was the Kusa-genin tongue. Sasuke, Karen, and Sakura saw this as well, and the red-headed Kunoichi was grossed out by it. Hey, old man, disgusting. Put me down before I yank this tongue out of your head. Naruto was drawn in closer to the Kunoichi, struggling to get free from her grasp while she thought to herself, extraordinaire, so the nine-tailed brat lives. She then formed a hand sign preparing for a jutsu while Naruto glared at her. I see when your anger is aroused some of the Kyuubi's chakra is released. What an interesting childhood you must have. The Kunoichi's fingertips began to glow with light purple flames on them, and used her tongue in order to lift up Naruto's shirt, revealing the seal on his stomach. The jutsu that seals him within you has appeared on your skin. Sakura couldn't believe what was happening and shouted over at the Uchiha. Sasuke, hurry, do something! But her shouts however fell on deaf ears as Sasuke continued to look on in fear, unable to move a muscle. The Kusa-genin soon reared her hand back to strike Naruto with whatever jutsu she was about to unleash. But before that could happen, something struck into her open palm which turned out to be sharp and painful. Slish! Ayahawa! The genin screamed in both pain and surprise before feeling another shot of pain, this time being her tongue, as something cut into it, causing her to release Naruto, who jumped back to get some breathing room. Sakura wondered where that came from when she heard a voice right next to her. Instead of just standing there like a statue, Pinky, how about you start acting like a ninja? Sakura and Sasuke were shocked to see this Kunoichi helping them despite the fact she was from the same village as their enemy, who didn't look the least bit happy. You little bitch, I will tear your head off. She lunged at Karen with the intent of taking her head off. Karen wisely threw 3 shuriken at her enemy before leaping away from the spot she was on. The shuriken were deflected by the Kunoichi and proceeded to launch 3 shuriken before going through several hand signs in the form of a jutsu. Shuriken Bushin no Jutsu. The 3 shuriken soon became 30, which caused Karen to duck for cover as many of them impaled the side of a tree. Before she could figure out what to do next, she was suddenly grabbed by the throat from her attacker. Struggling to get free, she saw her enemy glare at her. Any last words before I kill you for getting in my way? Leave her alone. Turning to the sound, the unknown Kunoichi ducked a kunai in time, but it was all Karen needed to break free as she pulled the kunai from her pouch and stabbed into her enemy's arm, which forced her to let go of Karen as she made a run for it. The Kusagakure genin looked over at who threw the kunai and saw it was the pink-haired Kunoichi, who suddenly threw 2 more at her. Growing frustrated at this constant interference, she dodged the attacks, and before Sakura knew it, was struck hard in the face, causing her to be slammed into another tree, sliding painfully down into unconsciousness. Sakura! Naruto made his way over to his fallen teammate and began looking over her. Seeing her not moving caused something in Naruto to tremble into a dark rage at seeing his friend and crushed to be in pain. Suddenly something began to emerge from Naruto's body. His chakra began to turn red, and soon Naruto landed on all fours like he was some kind of animal. Soon he was covered in some sort of cloak that took the form of something with ears and a long tail. Sasuke and Karen looked on in total fear and dread, both of them wondering the same thing. What in Kami's name is that? Before the shocked eyes of the two, Naruto disappeared before them in a burst of speed and nailed the Kunoichi so hard in the face that her skin was torn off and went through several trees by the impact of the punch. Karen gasped and quietly went over to where he was and stood a few feet away from him before making a sound. And Naruto, are you alright? Naruto slowly turned his head toward her, and she had to fight the urge to faint seeing the look in his eyes. She then heard him speak to her in a very deep voice. Karen, look after Sakura and make sure she is alright. Try to wake her up, please. Karen didn't know what to say except nod and silently made her way over to Sakura before hearing a sound of a broken branch. Turning around, she saw that it was Sasuke before narrowing her eyes at him. Are you trying to give me a heart attack? Everyone soon heard a deep dark chuckle coming from behind them. Slowly turning around, they saw someone approaching them and became shocked at what or who they saw. It was the Kunoichi from before, only this time half of her face that was torn off showed skin that was white and paled, and her eye was yellow and slitted like a snake's. Then they heard her speak in a different voice. I am impressed, Naruto, and to think you would go so far over one weak little girl. Tell me, just how much control do you have over the Kyuubi's chakra? Just who or what the hell are you? I suppose I should truly introduce myself before I kill you and take Sasuke. I am Orochimaru. Sasuke's eyes widened when he heard this, as he knew who Orochimaru was during his time at the Shinobi Academy, and wondered what did he want with him. Then he realized something else that was said by the traitorous Sannin. What did Orochimaru mean by the Kyuubi's chakra? The Kyuubi was killed 13 years ago by the Yondaime Hokage. Naruto didn't know what was going on, but one thing was clear to him. Orochimaru was after Sasuke and wouldn't hesitate to kill him, Sakura, or Karen, so with a growl he prepared to attack the Sannin. If you want my friends, you are going to go through me first, asshole. With these words Naruto lunged himself at Orochimaru, who leaped away, avoiding a deadly strike from Naruto, chuckling at the young Jinchuriki. Let's see just how good you are, Naruto. And with that a battle began between the two. End of flashback. Karen desperately wanted this to end and hoped Naruto would catch Orochimaru off guard and then they could escape together, but she became even wearier of the chakra that Naruto was using. Sasuke was still trying to figure out by what Orochimaru meant about the Kyuubi and Naruto. It was then the two heard a sound and turned to see that Sakura had woken up while clutching her head. "Ow, what hit me? You were just smacked in the face by one of the Sannin." Sakura turned to the voice and saw Karen looking over her before her eyes widened and went looking around before spotting who she was looking for. "Sasuke." Sakura tried to stand up, but the pain in her head caused her to remain still, and then she heard Karen give off an annoyed sigh. "Besides worrying about just him, don't you think you should also worry about your other teammate?" A loud sound was heard, causing the three to look up, and Sakura's eyes widened at seeing Naruto, and that he was fighting someone else. What is going on? Who is that and what has happened to Naruto? The one that Naruto is fighting is Orochimaru, one of the Sannin and the worst traitor from your village. He is after that Sasuke guy who, by the way, is just standing around not doing anything. Sakura gave the red-haired girl an annoyed look. "Then why aren't you helping Naruto?" "Because he told me to watch over you and I doubt I can help him, especially when he is like that right now." Boom! Both of them turned around to see Naruto lying on his back in pain with Orochimaru landing a few feet away from him, and saw that he had a sword in his hand. The chakra cloak that Naruto was in earlier had suddenly vanished, leaving him in even more pain as Orochimaru approached him. "I must admit, Naruto, you gave me quite the challenge, but unfortunately I do not wish to waste any more time, so I must kill you now before you become a problem to me in the future." The Sannin then turned his attention to Sasuke. "I am very disappointed in the so-called last loyal Uchiha. To think that he would be such a weak and pathetic coward. Your brother was far more interesting." Sasuke's eyes widened when he heard this from Orochimaru, as it caused a faint memory of his to surface from his past. Sasuke began to shake in rage at being reminded of the one reason of becoming a shinobi before a shout was heard by everyone. "Orochimaru!" The snake Sannin looked to his right before leaping away, avoiding several Senbon that impaled themselves into the trunk he was on, and couldn't help but smile cruelly at who had appeared. "My Anko-chan, it has been a while. You have grown beautiful from the last time I saw you." The Tokubetsu Jonin stood on the other side, glaring down hatefully at her former sensei. She had gone ahead of Kakashi and Pakken as she wanted to confront Orochimaru herself. While she knew it was reckless, she felt the need to do this alone. "Why the face, Anko? Aren't you happy to see your old sensei?" "I'll be happy to see you when you are dead at my feet." With these words, Anko attacked her former sensei with the full intention to kill him where he stood. She began throwing several kunai and shuriken at her sensei that calmly deflected the projectiles as if they were bothersome flies. The purple-haired kunoichi landed a few feet in front of him before thrusting her right arm out, performing another jutsu. Sanaijutsu. Several snakes came out of her arm, making their way to bite down on the Sannin, who unleashed the same jutsu as his student, knocking away the other snakes, causing him to chuckle. "Really, Anko, did you forget who taught you that jutsu?" "Sadly, I haven't forgotten, but I will gladly be the one to end your life once and for all." Anko then ran her hand through several hand seals at high speeds, gathering up chakra before unleashing her next attack on her former master. "Katon, Ryuka no Jutsu." A huge stream of fire made its way over and engulfed the Sannin, who appeared to have made no move to avoid it. The flame had lasted for no more than a minute before the jutsu ended, and Anko looked around for any remains of Orochimaru but could find none. "Damn it, where did you go, you bastard? As much as I enjoy our time together, Anko-chan, I must end it now as I have much to do." The Tokubetsu Jonin turned around to find Orochimaru a few feet behind her. Before she could do anything, the Sannin held his hands in a hand sign which caused Anko to gasp in pain, grabbing the side of her neck, forcing her to her knees. Forcing herself to look up, she glared at the cause of her pain. Orochimaru smiled cruelly as he made his way over to her before quickly leaping out of the way of an incoming hail of shuriken and kunai. Turning around, he had a look of annoyance. "You are starting to become a nuisance, you blonde little rat." Anko looked over to who he was talking to, and her eyes widened at seeing who it was. Naruto was breathing heavily, trying to steady himself while glaring at Orochimaru. "Then you better try and put me down for good, you paled-face asshole, because I'm not letting you hurt anyone." Anko couldn't believe what was going on, and forced herself to speak. "You idiot, get out of here. You can't hope to win against someone like him. He'll kill you, and leave you here to die?" "Hell no." Anything else that was going to be said was cut off by the sound of another person, who called out a jutsu. "Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu." Orochimaru had no time to blink as he was hit with the full force of the jutsu, but when it ended, his whole body became a pile of mud. Naruto and Anko were shocked before hearing someone causing and saw that it was Sasuke who casted the jutsu. The Uchiha looked around for the Sannin before making his way over to the two. "But what the hell was that chakra you used?" "We can worry about that later. We need to get out of here and find Kakashi-sensei." "I'm afraid I cannot allow that to happen." Both turned to the sound of Orochimaru's voice and saw him rise out from one of the trees. The Sannin had his sword drawn out once again as he made his way over to them. Looking over at the Uchiha, Orochimaru smiled at him. "I truly wanted to test you out, Sasuke, and see how well you were trained, but unfortunately with Anko-chan here, there is no doubt that even more bothersome flies will be here, so I must make this short by parting you with a gift of mine. That is not going to happen. Everyone looked to the sound of a new voice and Sakura was the first to respond. Kakashi-sensei. The copycat ninja leaped down in front of Anko, to guard her from further harm as he began going through hand signs for his signature jutsu that he created, and when he was finished his right hand started to emit lighting as he glared at Orochimaru. Without taking his eyes off the traitorous Sannin, he spoke to his students. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, take Anko and whoever that girl is with you and get out of here while I buy you some time against Orochimaru. Do you honestly believe you can stop me, Kakashi? You couldn't when you were younger, so what makes you think you can now? That was a different time back then, because it will end here for you today, Orochimaru. Karen, who had been watching, decided that it was time to leave and whispered over to Sakura and Sasuke. Hey you two, let's grab Naruto and that other woman and get the hell out of here. Sasuke looked to the red-haired girl and glared at her. I am not leaving. I want answers from Orochimaru about my brother. Are you stupid or something? Your sensei just basically told us to leave and let him fight this guy. Do you honestly think you can do anything to someone like Orochimaru? Before Sasuke could even make a retort to Karen, they were interrupted when Naruto and Anko landed next to them, with the purple-haired Kunoichi giving orders. What the hell are you idiots still doing here? Hurry up and head to the tower. But what about Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked, as she didn't want to leave her sensei alone since he was facing one of the strongest ninja in history. Kakashi gave you an order and you will follow it, now let's move. Any further protest was cut off by the sound of Kakashi's voice yelling out his signature jutsu, and causing everyone to look back. Raikiri. Everyone's eyes had widened to seeing Orochimaru impaled by Kakashi's jutsu, whose hand was through the traitor's chest. Kakashi was slightly surprised he managed to land a fatal blow to the Sannin, but soon Orochimaru turned into a pile of mud before their eyes. Is this really the best you can do, Kakashi? How very disappointing of you. Kakashi's head whipped back and where the voice came from and saw he was behind the others. Anko quickly threw several saban at her former sensei, with Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke throwing their own projectiles at Orochimaru. Orochimaru, however, performed a shunshin, avoiding the attack and appearing on the other side, before forming a familiar hand sign that was Naruto's signature jutsu, Kagebushin no Jutsu. Orochimaru created at least 4 clones of himself, each one with a sinister grin on their face before the original Orochimaru spoke to the copycat ninja. Let's see on who you can save, Kakashi. 2 of the Orochimaru clones began running through hand seals and both Kakashi and Anko realized what he was about to do, with Kakashi being the first to scream out. Take cover quickly. The genin didn't need to be told twice as they quickly jumped out of sight just as the 2 clones finished their jutsu. Futon de Tapa, Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. The combination of the fire and wind jutsu had devastating results as the genin managed to avoid the flame, but both Kakashi and Anko were caught in the blast. Orochimaru was no fool, however, as he knew that wouldn't kill the 2 before him and was right, as in their place were 2 burning logs. Kakashi and Anko appeared above him, with Anko and Kakashi going through several hand signs of their own and attacking the Sannin and his clones. Katon, Ryuka no Jutsu, Kage Shuriken no Jutsu. 2 of the clones were eliminated by the attacks, but Orochimaru and his other clone managed to avoid them and went on the offensive by engaging Kakashi in taijutsu combat, with the clone doing the same against Anko. The purple-haired Kunoichi was having a hard time against the clone as she was still feeling the effects from when Orochimaru activated her cursed seal, as she was starting to feel sluggish with the clone taunting her. Is this all you can really do against me, Anko-chan? I'm almost insulted, as I thought you would be training your heart out in wanting to end my life, but alas, you will always be a weak little child. Shut up and die already. Kakashi wasn't faring any better as he knew he stood little chance against Orochimaru, but he had to protect his students with his life and silently hoped that they were escaping to the tower. Naruto and the others were quietly watching the battle taking place, wondering how they were going to get out of this mess when Sakura spoke up. We have to do something. And what exactly can we do, Pinky? Your sensei and that woman is fighting one of the freaking Sannin, for Kami's sakes. We don't stand a chance. Karen snapped, wondering if this girl was hit in the head too hard. Sasuke could only growl in annoyance as he felt everyone was wasting time, but before he could utter a word or tell the 2 to shut up, Naruto spoke up to the group. Listen up everyone, I got a plane to help get us, Crazy Snake Lady and Kakashi-sensei out of here and to the tower, but I'll need your help to pull it off. Everyone looked over at Naruto, with Sakura being the first to speak to the blonde. Naruto Baka, this is not the time to act cool. We need to get out of here like Kakashi-sensei told us. I'm not trying to act cool, Sakura, or did you forget about Kakashi-sensei's main rule? Those who disobey the rules are trash, but those who abandon comrades are worse than trash. Sakura didn't know what to say until Sasuke decided to speak up. We should at least try and help Kakashi-sensei escape, along with the second proctor, so long as I can find Orochimaru again. Karen decided to share her own input, and spoke to the 2 that wanted to help Kakashi. Whatever this plan of yours is, Naruto, I'll go with it so long as everyone can get out of here alive, because I honestly don't want to die yet. Naruto smiled at Karen before looking at his teammates. Okay guys, here is how it's going to go. Unknown to the 4 genin, they were not the only ones watching the battle. A few minutes earlier, after Kakashi arrived, Gaara and his siblings had taken cover as they had been watching what was happening to the ones below them, with the younger sibling becoming interested with the outcome of this fight. Okay Gaara, we've seen what's going on, so let's get out of here before we get noticed by Orochimaru. Kankuro spoke to his younger sibling as he did not wish to be anywhere near the Sannin as he feared him like anyone else who had heard of him. Gaara turned to glare at his sibling, unleashing a bit of his killing intent at him, causing him to flinch. I want to see who is the strongest out of these three, and I will not be denied. The Uchiha has proven weak, and now I find myself interested in the blonde one and the two that are fighting Orochimaru. Gaara, please, we can wait at the tower for the outcome, we have a mission to do. Temari tried reasoning with her brother, as she didn't want to get caught up in what was going on at the moment. Temari's younger sibling gave her a cold look before responding. Shut up right now or I will kill you too this instant. Temari flinched and knew Gaara would go through with his threat without hesitation and could only remain silent while seeing this battle go on. Unknown to the three, they were not the only ones, as standing a couple of feet from the other side was teammate as they too were watching the battle unfold. Kiba could only growl in annoyance as he wanted to desperately jump in and help out Naruto's team. While he and Naruto did not get along sometimes, they were friends back in the academy and he didn't want to leave him to die at the hands of one of Konoha's greatest traitors. Looking over at Shino, he spoke out in a frustrated voice. Damn it, Shino, are we just going to stand here all day or are we going to help them? We cannot do anything as of yet, Kiba, for even the slightest of movement will alert Orochimaru and the two who are fighting him. We would only be in the way and it could end up causing one of them to die. So we're just going to sit here and do nothing? Hinata could understand how Kiba felt as she wanted to help Naruto more than anything, but knew that they didn't stand a chance in this fight. Even if the rest of the Rookie 9 were here, along with Niji's team, it wouldn't be enough to help. Kiba, I want TT to help too, but we aren't strong enough to help. Then what should we do? We could try to quietly make our way over to En and Naruto and the others and lead them to the tower. Kiba and Shino looked at Hinata considering her idea, before it was Shino who decided to make the call. We will try and help lead them away, nothing else, as I express no desire to die at this time. Okay, then what's the plan? Kiba asked impatiently. Shino gestured for the two to come close as he began to explain what they should do. Present time. Kakashi landed hard on his back with a thud as he glared up at Orochimaru. The Sannin couldn't help but smirk as he looked back to see Anko writhing in pain as his clone activated her seal again, causing her to fall to her knees before looking back at Kakashi. Well, Kakashi, it has been fun playing with you and Anko-chan, but I am a busy man, so I must end this now. Say hello to your sensei in hell for me, won't you? Orochimaru summoned the Kusanagi blade from out of his mouth, intent on taking the Jonin's head. Raising the blade, he prepared to strike when his instincts kicked in, and he quickly deflected several shuriken away. Looking over, he saw that it was Sasuke, his pink-haired teammate, and another girl he didn't recognize. Well now, Sasuke, are you going to try to play the hero like Naruto? Kakashi was shocked to see his students here but was wondering where Naruto was and called out to them. What are you doing here? I told you to head to the tower. Anything that was about to be said was cut off by the shouts of several people, causing Orochimaru to look up and see over 20 dozen Narutos. Okay, everyone grab Kakashi-sensei and the crazy proctor now. The clones went on the attack against the original Orochimaru, who was dodging and striking the clones, causing them to puff out of existence. Orochimaru's clone was about to attack when several more clones of Naruto came up and attacked as well, causing the clone to fight them off as well. That was when Sasuke and Sakura made a mad dash toward Kakashi to hurry and grab him from where he was, with Karen going for Anko, hoping Naruto would be there to help her out. Orochimaru's clone saw Karen coming and knocked away the last clone of Naruto, but before it could move it felt something covering its body, causing it to look down and was surprised to see several insects covering it, causing the chakra from its system to be drained away. Orochimaru's clone began to swat away the insects that were on him when another sound came, catching it off guard. Gutsuga. The clone was nailed from behind, causing it to puff out of existence, making Anko wonder what had attacked him before feeling somebody lifting her up by her right shoulder. She looked up to see the red-haired Kunoichi getting her up to her feet. Come on lady, get up and let's go. Before Anko could respond, she felt someone lift her up by her left shoulder and turned to see Hinata, who was her friend Kurenai's student. We have to get you and Kakashi-sensei out of here, P. Proctor-san. My name is Anko, not Proctor-san Gaki. Hinata ignored the insult before she and Karen began leading Anko away from what was happening. Orochimaru saw from the memory of his clone of what had happened and saw that it was an Inuzuka that had dispelled it. Growing irritated from these distractions, he shot his left arm out at Kiba. Sanaijushu. Kiba immediately jumped out of the way, avoiding being bitten from the venomous snakes, making a retreat to where Anko and the other two Kunoichi who had taken her but not before. He launched small pellets at Orochimaru which exploded into smoke. While this distracted the Sannin, Naruto used this opportunity to quickly grab Kakashi with Sasuke's help and leaped away from Orochimaru, following Kiba, and noticed the others up ahead. Hey guys, how did you know where we were? We felt a disturbing force of chakra coming from here and Kiba wished to investigate it by following the genin from Suna. Shino explained to Naruto as he gestured for them to follow. Naruto became shocked when he heard this and was honestly afraid of Shino and the other Rookie 9 finding out about his secret about holding the Kyuubi in him. Before he could respond, a shout was heard, causing him and Sasuke to look back. You will not escape from me. Orochimaru appeared, and before either one could react they were struck by the Sannin, losing their grip on Kakashi, with Naruto landing opposite from Kakashi and Sasuke on the other side. Kakashi groaned in pain, looking back to see Sasuke on another tree, who was having trouble getting up after being kicked by Orochimaru. Hinata and the others stopped in their tracks to look back to see the three down. Sakura, who had been with them, couldn't stand by and went straight for Sasuke, causing Kiba to call out to her. "Sakura, what are you doing? Get back here, you idiot!" His calls were ignored as Sakura was hurrying over to Sasuke, hoping to get to him in time before seeing Orochimaru appear in front of Sasuke with that sick smile and his sword draw out, slowly making his way over to the last Uchiha. "Well, Sasuke, I believe I shall leave you a parting gift, so that you will seek me out in the future. Let's hope that you will survive through it, as I will succeed in gaining your eyes when I failed to take your brothers." Naruto was slowly getting up and saw Orochimaru making his way over to Sasuke. Biting back the pain, he tried to make his way over before hearing Kiba and saw that Sakura was running over to where Sasuke and Orochimaru were, wondering what the hell she was thinking. Orochimaru's neck began to stretch out with his fangs exposed as he stretched it out over at Sasuke, intent on sinking his fangs into him before he was suddenly hit in the eye by something sharp, causing him to rear back in pain from whatever it was. Sasuke began wondering who threw that kunai when he felt someone grab him from behind, pulling him back, causing him to look over and see who it was. "Sasuke, hurry, we need to get out of here." The Uchiha got to his feet and started to run when he slipped, falling over from the giant branch he was on, pulling Sakura with him, causing the both of them to fall. Naruto saw this and tried to make his way over, but then saw Orochimaru pulling the kunai out of his eye while glaring down at the two, before shouting in rage, "Stupid little whore!" In a fit of rage, Orochimaru opened his mouth, in which a dozen snakes shot out of, and the worst part was many of the snakes opened their mouths to reveal miniature swords. Kakashi, seeing this in a state of panic and a burst of adrenaline, jumped after the two. Time seemed to slow down as everyone that was watching saw something that would forever be on their minds. As the snakes with the blades made their way towards Sasuke and Sakura, Kakashi went for the closest person he could reach, and that was Sasuke. Grabbing the young Uchiha, Kakashi twisted out of the way of the incoming attack, but when he landed on the other side, his exposed eye widened as the multiple snakes had reached Sakura, and to his horror she was hit. Slish! Everyone froze in horror at what they had just witnessed, as Sakura's body, save her head, had many sword wounds in her body. The snakes then retracted back from their target, causing Sakura to fall, which caused one person to break out of his shock and went screaming, "No! Sakura!" Naruto leaped down after her faster than anyone else had seen him move, and by the time he reached her, he caught her in his arms. Landing on another giant branch, he fell to his knees, before looking over Sakura, his eyes starting to water at the many wounds she received from Orochimaru. Sakura looked up weakly at Naruto, who was crying and could feel her blood leaving her body as she was in absolute pain. Her heart ached to see him act this way, and she began to feel regret for being mean to him back in their days at the academy to when they became a team. Smiling weakly, she did her best to speak to him. "And Naruto, are you and Sasuke alright? Please don't talk, Sakura-chan, I'm fine. I'll give you some help, I promise, just hold on." Sakura felt tears well up in her eyes as she knew wouldn't make it in time, so she managed to gather up the strength to say what could be her final words. "Naruto, I am sorry for being mean to you all the time. Andy wasn't strong enough to help you or Sasuke-kun. I hope you find someone to love, and Sasuke-kun too. Stop it, you're not going to die. I'm going to save you, so please hold on." How touching to see the Kyuubi brat moaning in despair. Before Naruto knew it, he was knocked aside, landing hard on his back. Looking up, he saw Orochimaru glaring down at Sakura in a look that showed some anger and annoyance. "You shouldn't have got in my way, you weak little brat, and now look at you. Do you have any last words?" Sakura took one look at the Sannin before spiting in his face and said in a voice that refused to give in to fear to Orochimaru, "Go back to hell, you monster." Orochimaru narrowed his eyes before replying, "You first." Slish! His sword went right through her heart before pulling it out, and with one last thrust he impaled his blade into her head. Her body went rigid for a moment before stopping cold, and then lying completely still. No one could believe what they saw, and many wondered what caused them to be trapped in fear. Naruto could only stand frozen as he saw Sakura's lifeless form as Orochimaru removed his sword from her head. His body soon began to tremble as he began to feel several emotions running through him, one being shock, one being sadness, one being regret. But the strongest emotion of them all was pure unadulterated rage. What happened next no one expected, as Naruto screamed in absolute rage, causing his chakra to flare for all to see, but then everyone soon saw his chakra turn to pure red, and to everyone's eyes a cloak began to form around Naruto, causing him to fall on all fours, his nails growing, his hair running wild, and his teeth elongated into fangs. But the most shocking feature was when the chakra cloak grew 3 tails, and when Naruto lifted his head up, his eyes were pure blood red, causing everyone to become afraid, and soon Naruto spoke in a voice that was as close to a demon's as possible. "I will kill you!" Chapter 3, Naruto's Rage. A couple minutes earlier, before Naruto went berserk, Choji, Shikamaru, and Ino were hurrying as fast as they could to the source of the chakra. They had felt it leave for a moment, and the daughter of Inoichi was getting worried for both Sasuke and Sakura, as she was desperately hoping that she would be there to help her friend out. They were not the only ones heading in that direction, as the team from Otogekure had been following them for quite a while. Zaku was getting impatient as he really wanted to fight somebody right now and wanted to complete the mission that was given to him and his teammates from Orochimaru. Dosu, however, knew they couldn't rush things as they were, for whatever was up ahead could prove to be a danger to them and anyone else, and he was listening in on what the three ahead of them were speaking about. Come on you guys, we need to hurry up before something happens to Sasuke-kun and Sakura. We don't know if it's them who are in trouble, it could be any team encountering whatever that is. Choji tried to reason with his blonde teammate as he wasn't really looking to fight anyone at the moment, and just wanted to get out of this place. Just shut up and follow me already. Shikamaru, who had been silent, could only sigh mentally in annoyance, as he really did not want to get involved with whatever was up ahead, but he didn't wish to deal with Ino's temper tantrum and just hoped that this whole thing wasn't too troublesome to deal with. When they were close to the source, the children of the previous Ino Shikacho trio heard something that would haunt them for as long as they lived, and it was the sound of Naruto's voice in despair. No, Sakura. Their blood went cold when they heard this and quickly ran as fast as they could, not noticing that Dosu and his team also heard the sound and quickly followed as well, forgetting to silently follow after them. When Ino and the others arrived, what they saw would give them nightmares as they saw Orochimaru standing over Sakura, who asked if she had any last words, and the pink-haired Kunoichi responded by spiting in his face and heard her words before the Sannin responded back before stabbing her in the head, instantly killing her. The students of Asuma stood frozen at what they just witnessed and couldn't move from what they experienced for the first time in their life, which was the death of a comrade at the hands of the enemy. Dosu and his teammates had just arrived and were shocked to see their leader Orochimaru killing someone, and Kin was wondering what he was doing here when he had ordered them to kill Sasuke Uchiha. That is when they witnessed Naruto shout in total rage, and his entire body was covered in red chakra, and noticed that he stood on all fours like some kind of wild animal, and soon saw him in a chakra-like cloak that was sporting 3 tails and ears like a fox, before hearing him say in a hate-filled voice that sounded like it was possessed by a demon, "I will kill you." That was when all hell broke loose. Present time. Orochimaru didn't even see the blow coming as Naruto moved at a speed that would be considered impossible to many, and the snake Sannin was sent flying into the opposite direction of everyone watching this take place in front of them. The blonde Uzumaki snarled as he leaped after the one who had killed his crush. "I'm not finished with you yet." Everyone watching this didn't know what to do, as they had never seen something like this before, but soon all the genin present soon heard Tamari's voice. "Gaara, what are you doing?" Kakashi and Anko turned to see the red-haired genin from Suna take off after Naruto with a crazed look on his face, making both jonin turn pale as they knew what he was planning to do and took off after them, but not before Kakashi turned to look at everyone who was present. "Listen up all of you, get to the tower right now, and whatever you do, don't come after us." "But what about Naruto?" Hinata spoke out without stuttering, as she didn't know what was wrong with her crush, but she wanted to be there for him after what happened. "We will take care of him, but for now all of you have to leave immediately, since I doubt he can tell who is friend and foe right now." Anko spoke up as she didn't wish for any of these kids to die by Naruto's hands, as the blonde Jinchuriki would no doubt feel even more grief and guilt if he ended up killing one of his former classmates by mistake while being controlled by the Kyuubi. Before anything else could be said, Kakashi went over to Sakura's body, staring at her. Those who were watching him could see the pain and the sadness in his eyes as he reached into a pouch, pulling out a scroll, making the genin wondering what he was doing. Though Anko knew what he was going to do, Kakashi kneeled down, opening the scroll, before gently lifting Sakura's unmoving body on top of it, before performing a hand sign, and before everyone's eyes a puff of smoke appeared, making Sakura vanish, which then made Kakashi roll up the scroll before going over to Sasuke, who had a look of confusion, causing the young Uchiha to ask him, "Kakashi-sensei, what did you do to Sakura's body?" "I placed her in a Stasis seal scroll for you to take back with you to the tower, while Anko and I will go after Naruto. At least that way I know Sakura will get the proper funeral she deserves when this is over. Now hurry to the tower with everyone and wait for us there, no excuses." But what if some of us don't have the required scrolls to finish this?" Choji asked, as he didn't honestly want to stay in this forest any longer than he had to, as he was afraid of encountering the one that Naruto was chasing after. "Forget about the exams for now, just head to the tower, and none of you better even dare think of coming after us, got it?" Anko spoke out as she could see that some of them wanted to go after her former sensei for what he had done. Before anything else could be said, an ANBU appeared before the group, startling everyone, but Kakashi soon recognized who it was. "I'm glad that you're here, we need to stop Naruto." The ANBU standing in front of the group wore the standard uniform with his brown hair showing and had the tattoo symbol for the forces. He wore a mask that resembled a bear with green markings. "I'm helping any way I can, Kakashi-senpai, but what about the genin here? They are going to head back to the tower and wait for us there until we have dealt with the situation. We might as well do it." Everyone looked over at Shikamaru, who had a frown on his face, but his eyes were upset at what was happening, and looked to the others who wanted answers, so he started to explain. "If we head over to the tower, chances are we will meet other teams there who are probably scared out of their minds right now, as I'm sure they felt whatever type of chakra that Naruto was using and will want to avoid him. But if they don't, then it's their funeral." Kiba, Ino and even Sasuke wanted to argue with the young Nara, but knew that he was right, though the Uchiha had a feeling he wouldn't even be able to compete any longer because of what happened to Sakura, as he wouldn't be able to test himself before mentally chiding himself for even thinking like that. While he didn't like the pink-haired Kunoichi at all, he wouldn't ever dishonor her memory or speak ill of her, as he felt he would be no better than his brother. With a resounding sigh he spoke out. "We should go and do as Kakashi-sensei says, as all we would do is just get in the way and wouldn't be of any help at all, and I doubt Naruto will listen to any of us with the way he is now." Everyone could only nod in frustration, and slowly one by one each of the genin began to make their way over to the tower with the intent of capturing any teams that were going toward the tower, as they had a feeling that other teams must have felt that strange chakra from Naruto. After the last of them were out of sight, Kakashi and the other two quickly took off after Naruto, hoping to catch him in time. Unknown to the three, the genin from sound had hidden themselves among the group, quietly making their way out of hiding. Dosu looked in the direction of where Kakashi took off before looking over at his teammates. "Come on, you two, we need to get to the tower, away from whatever that was that attacked Orochimaru-sama." "Are you serious, Dosu?" Zaku couldn't believe what he was hearing from him, as he wanted to go after Naruto for what he just did to the one who had given him strength. Dosu narrowed his eyes at his hot-headed teammate before speaking in a tone that held no room for arguments. "We have a mission of our own to do, and we are not going to jeopardize it because we have no idea what the hell we are up against." "Are you doubting Orochimaru-sama's strength already, Zaku?" "I doubt we will be able to complete it with all those other genins with him," Dosu Kin spoke up, as she really wanted to get out of here, far away from what she had just witnessed, as it scared her a lot. The Oto Kunoichi never felt such bloodlust or chakra that dark before in her life. The three genin from Otogekyo decided to head for the tower, hoping their master would live and they would acquire the scrolls they need if the mission went south. In another part of the forest, Orochimaru slowly pulled himself out of the ground, wincing in pain from the impact from when he crashed into the ground, but not before he went through a few trees. Who knew that brat could hit that hard? It was only thanks to the enhancements that he made on his body that he was able to survive, or his whole body would have been nothing but a splattered stain on the ground. I never expected any of this to happen, especially with the Kyuubi brat losing control like that over a stupid girl. No matter, this is just a minor setback for my plans to retrieve Sasuke's body for my own and to gain the Sharingan. The rest of his thoughts were cut off when he sensed the Jinchuriki making his way toward him, and the Sannin began to weigh his options. Orochimaru could stay to try and kill off the boy that held the fox so as to avoid him in the future, to make sure he never gained control over the tailed beast that he held. But then that would mean trouble for him later on for the organization he once worked with. On the other hand, he could escape and regroup to make sure his plan to invade Konoha to kill his master and destroy the village, but he would have to be more discreet since everyone would no doubt be looking for him. There was also the fact the other partisans in the exam would end up on the receiving end of the boy's wrath, since he wasn't thinking clearly. Another thought caused him to frown as he realized that Gaara would wish to fight the boy, since soon as Jinchuriki wanted to prove his existence through killing if he felt the bloodlust that was coming from the brat. I suppose I should weaken the boy a little so that if or when soon as Jinchuriki will want to finish him off, which will save me trouble from the Akatsuki if they learn that one or both Jinchurikis had died here. His thoughts were cut off when he felt the bloodlust coming from the Kyuubi brat coming his way, and that there were a few others following him, which made him consider taking on the boy to weaken him a bit before retreating. Naruto burst through the woods standing on all fours before Orochimaru, snarling at him, his eyes burning with anger and hate. "There you are! Oh, what's the matter, Naruto-kun? Are you still upset over that weak little girl that I disposed of?" This caused the boy to snarl even further at the monster who took his friend's life, who only chuckled at him with that hideous grin. "If anything, you should be thanking me for getting rid of such a useless kunoichi such as her. She basically had no talent, and quite frankly she was nothing more than cannon fodder to be used and thrown away when her purposes was fulfilled. I heard enough out of you. You are going to die for what you did today, even if it kills me. By all means try to kill me, you little fool. I should also add that, like that weakling, you have no real talent as a ninja." With that said, Orochimaru drew out his sword, preparing to fight against the boy, who didn't waste time and charged at him with a raised fist, which the Sannin dodged as the ground he was standing on not a moment ago shattered on impact. Hiruzen's former student went with a counter-attack to cut Naruto's arm off, but missed as his opponent dodged, though just barely, as he got a cut on his arm. The enraged Uzumaki formed the hand seal for the jutsu that he favored. Taiju Kagebushin no Jutsu. A huge amount of clones appeared in front of Orochimaru, who frowned at the amount that was before him, which estimated at least 300 of them. Each and every one of them had crimson eyes like Naruto, while only a few were starting to form a Biju cloak with the Kyuubi's chakra. The Snake Sannin decided to deal with the huge group as quickly as possible before any of them became like how Naruto was now. Stabbing his sword in the ground, he rushed through hand seals as the first wave went at him. Before they could reach him, he unleashed his jutsu, Futon de Tapa. The huge gust of wind nailed at least 100 of the clones, sending them flying into the others or crashing into the trees, causing them to puff out of existence. Many of the others ducked for cover to wait for the winds to die down, and when they did, Naruto and his clones launched their attack with kunais drawn. Orochimaru quickly drew his sword out of the ground to deflect the many attacks that were being thrown at him, slicing and kicking any of the clones that recklessly charged in his path. Naruto was getting angrier by the minute, since he had as of yet to lay another hit on the bastard, as for some reason his body was starting to feel some pain, but he chose to ignore it as he wanted to end the life of this monster that took his friend's life. The Sannin could tell that the boy was feeling pain from using the chakra of the fox, since he studied and learned that using the chakra of the Biju would bring pain to those who had no experience from using demonic chakra like the other Jinchurikis that he heard about when he went rouge. Unless the boy learned to control it like two of Kumo's Jinchuriki, then he would be even more powerful than before, but the Snake Sannin would see to it that this brat never got that far. His thoughts were cut off when Naruto's clones once more went at him to try to overwhelm him with numbers in which the Sannin had cut down with many well-placed strikes. Some of the clones got past his attacks, and only landed small damage to him which he brushed off while countering those he had missed. Hiruzen's former student decided to use another jutsu that would most likely catch the real Naruto off guard. Leaping back to get some distance from the clones, he began going through a set of hand seals at a fast pace before completing it, and calling out the jutsu. Raitun, Inazuma Hibi. Orochimaru's hand surged with lightning before he thrust his right hand out, and a giant snake made of lightning came out with a loud hiss as it attacked the clones of Naruto, slithering in the air in random directions, taking out many of the clones in its path. That is until it hit one Naruto that froze in its path, who screamed in pain, which caused all the other clones to puff out of existence. The young Uzumaki fell to the ground, though the shroud he wore was still on, as he slowly got up, all the while glaring at the monster before him, who only smirked in amusement. You should feel honored, Naruto-kun, that I decided to use a jutsu of my own on you. I considered using another jutsu on you, but I decided to use it on Sarutobi-sensei when the time comes for me to invade Konoha. A shame you will not live long to see it, as I also have another jutsu that his sensei once used. Naruto snarled at the pompous snake for his gloating while winching in pain from the attack. The young shinobi wanted desperately to kill him, but the pain he was feeling was slowly starting to get to him, and he felt as if something was pulling at him to lose consciousness. I'm not dead just yet, you bastard. I will kill you for what you did to Sakura. Oh, get over it already, boy. That girl was nothing special. She was more than likely one of those useless kunoichi who lived in some silly fantasy about being saved by the man of their dreams, and most likely barely trained at all to become a shinobi. Useless to the point where they are only useful when becoming a human shield for their teammates. Anything else that was going to be said by Naruto was cut off from a new wave of bloodlust coming towards the two, making the blonde shinobi wonder what the hell it was that was coming their way. Well, now it seems that we are going to be having uninvited guests soon, but sadly I will not be staying to see who it is. Have fun with whoever is coming your way, Naruto-kun, as I have more important matters to deal with. Orochimaru turned to leave Naruto to his fate, but the young ninja was not going to let him get away. No, you will not. With a rush of adrenaline, Naruto thrust his arm forward, which caused the chakra to shoot out, and as if it had a will of its own formed into a demonic-looking arm with a clawed hand. Orochimaru's eyes widened in shock at what was coming at him, and was unable to dodge the attack which grabbed him before slamming him into a nearby tree, causing him to gasp in surprise and pain. Naruto then proceeded to repeat this by slamming him into the tree several times with enough force which caused the tree to develop cracks into it, and by the fifth slam it caused it to be snapped in half as if it were a toothpick. The snake Sannin fell to the ground in pain while growling at the little brat that had caused it to him. Orochimaru slowly got up but winced even more before looking down at himself, and was surprised to see burn marks on his body. How the hell did this happen? He then correctly assumed that it was from the fox's chakra that the boy was using, but the question was Naruto using it, or the demon fox? He honestly didn't want to stay around to find out. Naruto was on all fours once again as he slowly started to feel his consciousness slip away little by little, which caused him to shake his head to snap out of the trance he was starting to get into, and decided to finish this as fast as he could. Before the young shinobi could make his next move, a voice screamed out to him from within his mind. Look out behind you, you fool! Hearing the warning, Naruto looked behind him as his eyes widened and quickly avoided a wave of sand that speed right past him. Where the hell did that come from? He soon saw the sand moving on its own once again, following the direction to where it came from, and to his shock it was from Gaara the shinobi from Sunagakure, along with his two siblings who looked at him with terrified eyes. Gaara, however, had a crazed look in his eyes while looking at Naruto, which showed he wanted blood, his blood. With a voice that was filled with madness he whispered, "You will prove my existence." Naruto had no idea on what he was talking about, but he wouldn't be stopped by anyone, least of all this guy. Orochimaru saw that soon as Jinchuriki had arrived and decided that it was time to make his escape, while letting these two kill each other, which he knew would hinder the plans of the organization he once worked under. Well, since Suna's own weapon is here, I shall just let you two kill each other, though hopefully Gaara will get rid of you for me, Naruto-kun, farewell. With these words the snake Sannin leaped away from the group, causing Naruto to become enraged at the cowardly snake that was retreating. Come back here, you coward! Before Naruto could go after him, his path was blocked when a wave of sand stood in his way, with Gaara jumping in front of him with that same psychotic smile. You are not getting away from me. Like I said, you are going to prove my existence. The young Uzumaki snarled, and his response to Gaara was simple. Fuck you, asshole! Bam! Faster than anyone could see, Naruto delivered a sick left hook at the redhead shinobi, sending him flying into a tree which proceeded to snap in half on impact. Kankuro and Temari were taken aback by what they had just saw, which the two couldn't even believe. Gaara was just punched through a tree. Snapping out of their stupor, the two siblings went to aid their brother against their newest attacker, hoping to wear him down enough to escape, or try to convince Gaara to retreat. Naruto noticed the two coming at him, and decided to prepare for the fight that was to come. He wanted to end this as quickly as possible so he could continue to go after Orochimaru to get back at him for what he did to Sakura. You two better stay the hell out of my way, unless you want to end up like that red-haired bitch I just smacked across the forest. You honestly believe we're just going to let you walk away like that after what you did to our brother? Kankuro sneered as he removed the large bundle from his back before unwrapping it to reveal a puppet. The puppet was a grotesque-looking humanoid that had 4 arms, 3 eyes and jagged teeth with a spiky hairstyle. Naruto wasn't sure on what to make of it, but he wasn't going to let his guard down for a minute as he prepared to attack the shinobi wielding the wooden puppet. Temari stood on the side but had her battle fan ready to unleash any of her deadly wind jutsu should the need arise, though in all honesty it looked like she would perform them sooner rather than later. The boy in the orange jumpsuit wasn't going to give any of them the chance to make the first move, so he went after Kankuro first to get back at him from before when he first met him in the village. The ninja from Suna quickly reacted by sending his puppet at Naruto with its arms thrusting forward, which caused blades to come out of each arm heading straight for Naruto. The blonde shinobi was quick to avoid the attack before continuing going after him, which caused the makeup-wearing ninja to dodge from getting hit in the face. Before he could follow up with another attack, he was soon hit by a strong gust of wind that had sent him flying backwards, slamming into a tree. Shaking his head to clear the cobwebs and the pain he was going through, he turned to look over at who had attacked him, which was the blonde Suna Kunoichi. Temari had her battle fan out in full view ready to perform another wind-based jutsu. Truth be told, she was very much afraid of who she was facing, as she had learned about other Jinchuriki from her father, but like everyone else she believed the Kyuubi to be killed by the Yondaime Hokage, but she was starting to have doubts, which caused one thought to cross her mind. Could he be like Gaara, and does he hold the 9-tailed fox? Her thoughts were cut off when she heard the shout of her brother. Temari, get out of the way quick. Hearing her brother Kankuro, she quickly avoided Naruto's fist as it impacted against the ground where she once stood, which caused it to shatter into a small crater from the force behind the punch. Seeing the damage, she shuddered as she knew her head would have been smashed in from that one punch. Kankuro decided to follow up with his next attack on his blonde adversary by making the puppet charge at him with its blades extended ready to impale him. Naruto, seeing the attacks coming his way, made sure to avoid them as he saw that something was dripping on the blades that came from the puppet, wondering if it was poison. After avoiding the blades, he took his last 3 shuriken and threw them at a high speed at the makeup-covered shinobi. Kankuro managed to dodge the attack just barely as the 3 deadly projectiles embedded them into a nearby tree. Deciding to end this as quickly as possible, he made his puppet go after Naruto once more, followed by making several hand gestures which caused the puppet to open its mouth and shoot out several kunai at the blonde shinobi, who dodged them, but that was what he intended, as he made another gesture with his right hand to make the wooden weapon open up one of its arms to shoot out a rounded projectile which Naruto couldn't dodge in time, and it exploded into a big purple smoke. Temari stood next to her brother, signing in relief, knowing that the poison he used against the pipsqueak that had attacked them would take care of him while they made their escape. Before she could say anything, both of them felt a wave of bloodlust causing them to tremble. Slowly looking behind them, they saw it was Gaara who was slowly making his way over and were shocked in the state he was in. The red-haired shinobi's nose was bleeding but was also crooked, indicating it was broken, while his right arm looked to be out of its socket, which must have gotten dislocated from the impact of where he crashed into. But the one thing that scared the two right now was the crazed look in his eyes that was filled with anger and absolute madness. Then he spoke in the most crazed and chilling voice ever. He hurt me, he made me bleed, he must die. Temari and Kankuro became even more terrified as they feared that their younger brother would most likely lose control of himself. Both of them had seen it once when they were younger and did not wish to experience it again, so the older sister of Gaara tried to reason with him. Gaara, please, you have to calm down. We need to get out of here and head to the tower. Remember the plan for the— Shut up. I will not be denied my prey, and if you get in the way I will kill you both here and now. Before either sibling could speak to him, their instincts kicked in and all 3 quickly avoided getting their bodies smashed from a giant shrouded handmade chakra. The giant hand soon quickly retracted from their sight before they could see where it came from. Kankuro was wondering how his opponent was still able to fight, as he believed the poison he used should have been able to eliminate his target. But before he could decide his next move, he heard a snarl from behind him. Turning a second too late, the puppeteer was met with a right cross in the face by Naruto, which sent him flying back, making him lose control of his puppet as he slammed against a nearby tree. But he wasn't finished with him yet, as he was soon on Kankuro faster than anyone could see. Grabbing him by the front of his shirt, Naruto quickly delivered several punches. 2 to the face and 3 to his right side. The next thing that the blonde ninja did that no one would ever expect him to do was grab his enemy's right arm, and to the horrid eyes of Temari, Naruto twisted it, which caused a sickening snap. Snap! Ayaha! Kankuro had never felt this kind of pain before, as he had hardly ever received this kind of punishment. Falling to the ground, he clutched his arm while also feeling pain in his sides, wondering if any of his ribs had gotten cracked or broken. Kankuro, no! Naruto turned to look over at the kunoichi from Suna, who had tears in her eyes before they took on a vicious glare, as she prepared to attack and unleashed her jutsu from before. Kamaitachi no Jutsu. Swinging her fan, Temari unleashed a deadly wind attack at Naruto, who held up his arms to brace for impact as his body received several cuts from the attack, drawing blood before, who was sent flying back. Luckily, he managed to grab onto a branch to hold himself from being blown further away into the forest. Temari was about to launch another attack when she was knocked away and slammed against the tree. Shaking her head, she started feeling pain in her face, wondering who hit her, and looked to see it was Gaara that had struck her with him, giving her a murderous look. I told you not to get in my way. When I am done with him I will kill both you and Kankuro next when I am done with him. Gaara's older sister felt a twinge of pain from those words. Even though Gaara was psychotic, she knew it was because of the demon sealed in him, and he was still her brother. She truly wished her father never did this to her younger sibling, as she wanted to be there for him like any other older sister. Naruto, who had been holding on, managed to pull himself up on the branch before pulling out a kunai. Checking his pouch, he frowned seeing it was empty, and that he was holding his last kunai. Deciding to end this quickly, he speeded toward the unsuspecting redhead, unaware that the chakra shroud he had on was going onto the kunai in his hand. Gaara sensed his enemy coming, but when he turned around to try to capture him in his sand, he was a second too slow, in which Naruto proceeded to stab him in his injured shoulder. Slish! Temari stared in horror as she saw blood coming out of her brother's shoulder. She couldn't believe that Gaara could have been hurt by anyone, let alone getting stabbed by a mere kunai. The red-headed shinobi screamed in pain and anger at being harmed even more by this bastard, and with his remaining good arm he decked Naruto in the face, which surprisingly sent him flying back a few feet from him. Gaara then ripped the kunai out of his shoulder before tossing it away, and before the stunned eyes of those present he grabbed his right arm and shoved it back into place while screaming. That is when everyone began to feel that something was wrong, as no one should have been able to do that. What happened next was something that Naruto didn't expect to happen, but it was an event he would never forget. Gaara screamed, and before the horrified eyes of those present, Gaara's gore began to meld with his body as his right arm began taking on a monstrous form, with the end of it growing vicious-looking talons. But the most terrifying outcome to it was that half of his face was now covered in sand, with it taking on a demonic look, with one half growing an inhuman-looking ear. When it was over the half that Gaara's face was covered, opened his eye to show a demonic-looking eye with his lower jaw sporting hideous sharp-looking teeth. Drool began pouring out of his mouth as he took on a crazed smile, and then spoke in a voice that was anything but his. Now you will die for causing me pain. Naruto stared in horror and fear at what was standing before him, with one thought going through his mind. Just what the hell is he? The next thing he knew was Gaara coming at him at speeds he thought impossible. Before he could do anything, he was backhanded by the giant-like arm from the shinobi from Suna. Naruto slammed onto the ground from the attack by Gaara, which caused him to become disoriented. Before he could even move, he was caught by the sand under the Suna ninja's control, struggling to break free from his grip, but with the injuries he sustained and the effects of the chakra shroud wearing him down, he couldn't muster enough strength to break free. Gaara smiled viciously at his latest kill. It had taken him a while and some pain, but he was going to enjoy this immensely as the sand began encasing Naruto to prepare for his attack, all while Temari looked on as she hoped that her younger brother would calm himself after this and not kill her or Kankuro. The blonde Uzumaki began to lose consciousness as he struggled to free himself, but it was a losing battle as only his head hadn't been enveloped yet by the sand, which was slowly getting covered. He soon lost consciousness and cursed how he was going to die without avenging Sakura. Little did he know a certain nine-tailed fox was not about to die with him. Naruto's mindscape. Deep within the mind of the blonde shinobi, the Kyuubi could only growl in annoyance and disgust at his weak vessel. He had thought that at 3 tails worth he would be able to kill Shikaku's host, but obviously there were too many distractions, plus the battle with the snake Sannin had left him weak, which was why he had dragged the boy into his mindscape. The student of Kakashi found himself in a sewer, wondering how he ended up here and wondered if he was already dead. You are not dead yet, you fool, as I have brought you here. Naruto looked up to see a giant cage with 2 giant glowing crimson eyes staring down at him. Soon the face of the nine-tailed fox appeared before the boy, causing him to look up at him with fear, which the demonic entity enjoyed. You should know who I am, since I've been sealed in you since the day you were born. Kyuubi? Bingo Kit. And before you even ask, we are in your mind, which resembles a sewer, which is pretty sad considering how much empty space there is, but I blame the idiot villagers and your lazy sensei for not doing anything to fix it. Naruto became angry at the insult from the fox that was basically calling him stupid, and glared at the giant demon for the insult, which the fox merely snorted at. You can get mad as much as you want, but we have a more serious issue at hand, brat. Like surviving against Shikaku's vassal. Kyuubi's vessel became wide-eyed as he remembered that he was about to die and didn't want to perish this way, as he wanted to avenge Sakura. The fox snorted at the look on the boy's face before continuing. If you are done panicking, I will let you know you can gain more power from me to destroy that pest by allowing me some control so we can escape, because I have no intention of dying with you against the weakest of the Biju. The blonde shinobi's glare returned before shouting at the demonic entity. There is no way I am going to allow you to use my body like that. You don't have a choice in the matter right now, you idiot. We are about to die, and unless you want to kill Orochimaru, you will take more of my power so I can help you get rid of this sand rat, or you can kiss your hairless ass goodbye and join that pink-haired harpy in hell. Choose. Naruto wanted to slap the fox for the insults, but could feel he was running out of time, so with great reluctance, he made his choice. Alright, fine, I'll do it. But you better not even try and destroy the village when this is over. The demonic entity smiled evilly before the water beneath Naruto began to bubble before turning red, and the boy saw more chakra leaking out from the giant gate that was in front of him, making its way toward him before ensnaring him and dragging, causing Naruto to become alarmed. Don't be alarmed, brat, I am merely giving you more power than I should, but it will be worth the effort to kill that stupid pest Shikaku. The blonde shinobi wasn't sure if he could believe the fox, but soon he started to feel tired and very soon he lost consciousness. The red chakra soon dragged the unconscious boy toward the cage, and then through the bars going into the demon fox's grip, who could only smile in triumph. With the way things are going, to wretched seal will weaken and soon I will be free. Outside Naruto's mindscape, Gaara smiled viciously as he saw that his victim's body was now entirely covered within his sand and was now prepared to deliver the killing blow to his enemy. Standing a few feet away in fright, Temari could only watch as her younger sibling was about to take another life because of the demon residing in him, and hoped he would change back to normal soon, without killing her and Kankuro. This is the end for you. He held up his other hand, which wasn't covered in the sand, with his fingers spread out as if he was holding an imaginary cup, and soon prepared to bring his fingers in as if he were crushing it while calling out his jutsu, Sabakuke. However, the next thing anyone knew, the sand that covered Naruto exploded, creating a small shockwave that knocked Gaara and Temari back a few feet, which both managed to land on their feet without crashing. When the dust had settled, both looked at where Naruto once was and their eyes widened in shock. In his place was a demonic humanoid-looking being whose entire body was covered in sinisterly dark blood-red chakra that stood on all fours with claws. It had rabbit-like ears that seemed to resemble that of a fox. Where 3 tails it once had, there were now 4 of them swaying ominously behind it. But the most frightening feature about it was its face. It had glowing white eyes staring at Gaara unflinchingly, and a glowing white sharp-toothed maw that was impossibly large for a human twitched open and closed as if wanting to tear into something like a hungry predator. Standing a few feet away in terror, Temari couldn't believe what was standing before her. She had learned about other Jinchurikis having a second form before having a full transformation like her father taught her, but she never thought in all her life she would see it. Any other thought that was going through her mind was cut off by the sound of a giant roar which shook the ground beneath them. Gaara withstood the shockwave, preparing to attack, but before he could make a move, Naruto rushed at him at an unbelievable speed before decking him right across the face, sending him flying backwards. He would have gone further, but one of Naruto's clawed hands shot out, grabbing him before slamming him into the ground. Naruto was upon his enemy, who tried to mount an offense against him, but he was quicker, as he began pummeling his opponent with his fist and began thrashing him with his tails, all while the red-haired shinobi screamed in pain and frustration. Temari shook out of her fear and quickly went to the aid of her brother by unsealing her fan once again, while charging up her chakra to unleash another of her wind-based jutsus. When she gathered enough chakra, she unleashed her attack, Kamaitachi no Jutsu. A huge gust of wind was sent at Naruto, who was blown back by the attack being sent into the forest. Temari took this chance to run toward her younger sibling to see if he was all right. But before she could get within a few feet of him, she sensed an attack coming her way, and it was thanks to her experience as a kunoichi that she quickly leaped away. Boom! The dust had kicked up, causing Temari to cover her eyes, but doing so had came with a price, as she reacted 1 second too slow as her fan was knocked away by Naruto from one of his tails, and the next thing she knew, she felt an incredible amount of pain on her right arm as she was knocked away by another of his tails. Wham! Temari cried out in pain as she felt her right arm burn before landing on her side on the ground. Looking at the wound, she could only gasp as blood was drawn, and couldn't help be grateful she didn't lose her arm. She then felt a strong killing intent being aimed toward her, which caused her to pale as she saw it was the boy Gaara had attacked. The possessed shinobi snarled at Temari as he slowly made his way toward her like a hunter does with its prey in the attempt to kill. Letting off an angry growl, he hunched down before leaping at her, causing the poor girl to scream, until an unexpected attack came at Naruto. Soon as shuriken. Bam! Naruto was knocked away from the girl, landing hard on his back before righting himself, snarling at whoever attacked him. I am not finished with you. The kunoichi from Suna turned at the sound of her brother, and became even more frightened as Gaara had once more transformed, looking even more demonic. This time both of his arms were covered in sand, with each hand sporting a wicked set of claws. But the most terrifying feature about him now was that his entire head was in sand, and it took on the shape of a demonic-looking tanuki. Both his eyes were a different color, and he possessed a set of wicked-looking sharp teeth. I will not have my existence erased by you. Naruto let off a challenged roar at his enemy as he prepared to attack Gaara once again, with the red-head shinobi preparing to do the same. All the while Temari clutched her injured arm, looking on in fright at the soon-to-be destructive battle that was to take place, hoping she will survive this. The two Jinchurikis went at each other, ready to tear one another apart, but then an unexpected intervention came out. Hokage Shiki Jijuin Jutsu, Kakwan Niten Sui Shu. 12 wooden spikes appeared from underneath the ground, 6 each surrounding both Naruto and Gaara, which caught both of them off guard. That momentary pause was enough for the wooden spikes to extend and capture the two Jinchuriki, who struggled to be free. Temari was wondering what was going on until she heard another voice. Kuma, keep those two restrained while I apply the seals. Anko and Nico, get the girl away from those immediately. 4 figures jumped down in front of her, 2 females and 2 males to be in fact. The two kunoichis went over to where Temari was, one of them dressed as the standard Anbu, as was the other shinobi, who had his hand out that had a kanji symbol glowing on his hand, while the other had one eye covered up while wearing a mask. Kakashi knew that he didn't have much time to spare, so he reached into his pouch to pull out 2 pieces of paper that had symbols on them. Quickly rushing over to where Naruto was, he applied the seal onto him while using his chakra. The possessed shinobi struggled to be free from his bindings, his chakra tails thrashing wildly, but it was proving futile. Kakashi managed to get within range and slapped the seal on his forehead. As soon as it made contact, the seal activated, causing Naruto to freeze up. Kakashi then quickly made his way over to where Gaara was, the insane Jinchuriki screaming in rage trying to free himself from his captor. Suddenly one of the wooden bindings snapped, causing his right arm to shoot forward the copycat ninja. Kakashi dodged the attack, and before Gaara could follow up with another, the seal was slapped on his forehead, as well causing him to freeze up as well. Soon the two Jinchuriki began to slowly transform back into their human forms, and after a few minutes the two were once again back to normal. Naruto and Gaara's heads were down, signifying that both were unconscious and worn out. The wooden pillars that held them retracted back into the ground, releasing the two as the ANBU known as Kuma and Kakashi made their way over to the two unconscious shinobis. Anko and the female ANBU known as Nico came over as well, with Temari being carried by Nico while Anko was holding onto her battle fan. Kakashi-senpai, what are we going to do with these two? We're going to take them to the tower and meet with the Jonin from Suna for this team to find out what the hell they were thinking sending in someone as unstable as this shinobi. Plus we have to get his teammates' medical attention. Nico, who was holding onto Temari, looked down at her since she was in her arms. Are you able to move on your own, or will you be needing help getting to the tower? Temari thought over it, and decided that she would try moving on her own first. I'll be fine on my own for now, but I want to look for my other brother Kankuro since he needs help more than I do right now. Okay, we'll do that while I carry your fan, but if you start falling behind Nico, we'll have to carry you, Gaki. Anko spoke up since she could see that the kunoichi before her had an injury to her arm. Temari glared at her for the insult but shrugged it off since finding Kankuro was more important right now than arguing with this woman and her allies. Right now we will get your arm bandaged up before we start searching for him, and hopefully he's still alive, but if we can't find him we will have to make our way toward the tower, Kakashi said as he made a gesture to Kuma, who nodded and brought out a scroll that carried medical supply which the standard ANBU brought with when they went on long-term missions. As Kuma went over to work on Temari, Kakashi was looking back over at Naruto. Seeing him in the state he was in, the copycat ninja couldn't help but feel guilt, as he now started to regret putting him and his teammates in this exam which caused one of his students to die. He could only hope that Naruto wasn't blamed for this by Sakura's parents, or that the Hokage would not have him locked up because of what happened, but knew two things. One was that Jiraiya would be making his way back to make sure the seal wasn't damaged, and the second was he felt that he wasn't going to be leading another Genin squad again, anytime soon. To be continued. Chapter 4. The Tragic Aftermath Part 1. In the Forest of Death, a group of shinobi were slowly making their way toward the tower that was in the center of the very forest they were traveling to. Taking the lead of this group was Kakashi Hatake, as he was scouting for any sign of Orochimaru with Pakken by his side. The group had been traveling for a full day as they made their way toward the tower. Standing on his right side was Anko, who had her guard up watching for any of the wild animals that roamed the forest, while standing behind her was Kankuro. He had his right arm in a sling, walking in slow steps, taking slow deep breaths as his sides were hurting along with his arm. Standing to Kakashi's left side was Yugao, who was also keeping watch while carrying the giant fan that belonged to Temari, who also had her arm in a sling but was able to walk fine as she didn't suffer as much as her brothers. Occasionally she would look back at the Umbu, who was carrying her younger brother, and the blonde Pipsqueak, though she was a little freaked out with how he was carrying them. Tenzo had both Naruto and Gaara in his grip thanks to his Kekkai Genkai as he carried them with ease, though he also kept his eyes open for any trouble that might occur while in the forest. He was worried for his friend Kakashi as this was about his team, the first team that he had ever passed, and honestly wondered what would be the outcome for him and his students. He would have to wait and see when they spoke to the Hokage. Are we almost there yet? My arm is killing me along with my sides, Kankuro complained as he honestly wanted to lay down for a while and rest after what he and his sister went through with their younger brother. We'll get there as soon we can, Gaki. Besides, you can barely move as it is, though it's amazing you're still walking. Anko told the puppet using shinobi. We are almost there, so everyone please remain calm as I want us to avoid unnecessary conflict. Kakashi spoke up, speaking in a firm tone, though inside he was feeling greatly upset and saddened for what had happened to Sakura. He was still berating himself and now wished that he and his fellow Jonin had listened to Irika. It was then that the group heard something approaching them and prepared for whatever it was while hoping to escape unscathed. What appeared before them took the group by surprise as it was more Umbu and some people Anko recognized. Rado, Iwashi and Ginma? What are you doing here? Kuma had radioed for backup with the Umbu and felt that we would be needed in case anyone was injured so that Iwashi, Rado and I would be able to get whoever was out quickly. Ginma spoke while chewing on a saban needle he kept around. Kakashi hearing this nodded as these three were bodyguards to his late sensei Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage. He decided to give the group a command. Ginma, I want you and the others to take Kuma along with the genin from Sunagakure to the medical wing along with my student Naruto to be treated immediately. Captain Nico, what should we do in the meantime? An Umbu with a hawk mask spoke up to his leader. I want all of you to go with Kuma to help secure the red-headed genin he has bind at the moment, as he is unstable. But before that, report to headquarters to put all units on alert as we have an intruder in our village. Yugao ordered the group in front of her. The group of Umbu nodded to their captain and left to carry out their orders while Ginma and his friends gestured for Kuma to make his way over to them. Seeing this, the Umbu who was holding Gaara looked to the genin. I want you to come with me as they will get us to the medical wing quicker than we are now. Kankuro and Temari were hesitant at first as they felt they could be brought to a prison cell but decided to do as they were told considering both of them were injured after what happened between their brother Gaara and the one called Naruto. Making their way over to him, they saw that the 3 other shinobi circled around them, which caused Kankuro to ask the Anbu next to him, "Just what are they doing? You'll see in a moment, so relax, it won't hurt." Before anything else could be said, the group was gone in a flash, leaving only Kakashi and the 2 females plus Pakken, who spoke up to his partner. "Kakashi, if you don't mind, I'll be going back now, but summon me again if you need anything and let me know if the kid will be alright, will you?" "I will, Pakken, take care of yourself." The dog summon nodded before disappearing in a puff of smoke. With that done, the 3 began to pick up the pace to head for the tower to report to their leader on what was going on. At the tower in the middle of the forest, inside the tower was a young shinobi who was waiting for his sensei to return with his teammate, and this young man's name was Sasuke Uchiha. He was not the only one. There are several other shinobi were there, which were Teams 8, Team 10 and Team 9. All groups had the needed scrolls to continue, but they decided to stay a while longer, hoping to know what had happened to Naruto. Karen was there with them but kept to herself, as she was trying to remain calm after what she witnessed in the forest. Sasuke at first told everyone that they should just head inside and he would relay the news to them, but Ino and Kiba were stubborn and insisted everyone should be with him, as they wanted to know what it was that caused Naruto to do what he did. When Lee had asked what had happened to Sakura, everyone went silent and held their heads down, with Sasuke looking extremely angry. Lee would have said more, but his teammates Neji and Tenten told him to drop it and wait for Sasuke's sensei to show up, and then they would know what was going on. It was then that the group in question had arrived, as everyone saw Kakashi, Anko, and one Anbu with them, but they then noticed that certain people were missing, and it was Sasuke who decided to ask the question. "Kakashi-sensei, where are Naruto and the team from Sunigakure?" "Naruto and the 2 members from Sunigakure are in the medical ward right now, but their younger brother is being locked up for now as he is a bit unstable," Kakashi told his student as he looked over the group, seeing that they wanted to know what happened to Naruto since many of the rookies had went with him to the academy. It was then that Rock Lee spoke up and answered a question that he wished to avoid. "Kakashi-sensei, please tell me where Sakura-chan is. Is she with Naruto in the medical room as well?" The Jonin could only hold his head down in sadness and shame, as he didn't want to speak about his now deceased student, as he cursed himself for not putting in more effort into training her. With a sigh, he reluctantly told Guy's student, "Lee, I am sorry to tell you this, but Sakura isn't with Naruto in the medical ward. Sakura is dead." The moment that Rock Lee heard this, all the color had drained from his face as his mind tried to process what he was just told from Kakashi. Sakura was dead? It couldn't be. It was just so untrue and unyouthful. The student of the Yondaime Hokage could see the absolute shock and utter disbelief in Guy's student. He didn't know why this young man was interested in Sakura, but something must have happened between the two to get him to be interested in her. Before anything else could be said, Lee began running his way toward the exit that lead out of the tower, and both Anko and Yugao reacted faster than anyone seen and pinned him down to the ground. "And just where the hell do you think you're going, Gaki?" Anko berated, as she already had a good idea on what he was planning to do. "Let me go this instant. I must try and find Sakura-chan." The young man struggled, but the 2 kunoichi wouldn't let him go. "There is nothing you can do. Kakashi has already told you what happened, and you will not be going back into the forest," Yugao told him with authority. "No, I refuse to believe such lies," the student of Mado Guy shouted as he was able to get to his feet despite the 2 holding him. That was when something, or rather someone, did something no one expected to happen. Wham! Lee was punched hard in the face that it caused his lip to bleed and his face began swelling. He was then hauled up, looking into the eyes of a very pissed off Sasuke Uchiha. "You stupid son of a bitch! Why the hell would my sensei or the Anbu with him lie about something like this? I was there, and so were the other genin teams that were with me when we came to this fucking tower." The other genin who were watching this exchange felt a little scared, as none of them saw Sasuke this angry or upset before. They did see him often scowl or growl out in anger when someone mentioned his brother, but this was on a whole new level. Considering what had happened to Sakura, they were now worried if Naruto would react like Sasuke was doing now, or would he be worse. Kakashi decided to put a stop to this before things got out of hand and rushed over, pulling the 2 apart. "That is enough out of the both of you. Sasuke, you will calm down and let me explain to him the situation, and I will make sure his sensei is present so he doesn't do something foolish like he was about to do. Lee, you will remain in the tower with your team and continue the exam, during which your sensei and I will speak to you later, and if you so much as even try to leave this place, I will have you punished for insubordination." This caused the student of Guy to stop his struggling, as he stood there shaking in anger and disbelief, as he didn't want to believe what he heard or remain in the tower, but he couldn't risk his team's chance to be promoted or disgrace the only man who gave him a chance to be a shinobi. So with a reluctant nod, he quietly walked back to his team. Yugao, who was watching the exchange going on, decided to say her piece and spoke to the group of genin. "If all of you have the necessary scrolls required, you will head into the tower now and wait for the rest of the days to pass for the exams until the Hokage explains the next phase. This is an order." The group in front of her nodded and made their way to the entrance, while Kakashi and his group stood outside for a moment before he spoke to those with him. "All right, everyone, it's time that we report to the Hokage about what is going on. But first, Nico, you will check on Kankuro and Temari to make sure they are secured and their brother is restrained." She nodded to him before she performed the Shunshin no Jutsu to take her leave. With that out of the way, Kakashi looked over to Anko and gestured for her to follow him, which she did as they went to report to the Hokage, and deep down Kakashi Hatake was not looking forward to making this report. A few hours later, Hiruzen Sarutobi was starting to feel his age at the moment, and wondered if this was his punishment from Kami-sama for not stopping his old student all those years ago. He had just been told of what had happened in the forest during the second part of the exam by Kakashi Hatake and Anko Mitarashi involving Orochimaru and Naruto Uzumaki using the Kyuubi's chakra to the point that he formed a Bijou cloak in the form of a four-tailed fox and had been battling Tsunagekyu's own Jinchuriki, who from what he was told by one of his Anbu was starting to transform as well, which would have caused untold destruction in the village. And that is what we have to report, Hokage-sama, Kakashi said to the leader of Konohagakure as both he and Anko had finished their report to him. Yugao and Tenzo had come by later to share their report to their leader after making sure that the shinobi from Tsunagakure were secured and didn't cause trouble. They had also informed their leader that other Anbu and Konoha shinobi meet up with them to make sure they were all right. Yugao ordered the group to take the genin from Tsunagakure to the medical wing along with their younger brother. Tenzo decided to go with as to make sure Gaara didn't cause any unnecessary death. All right, for the time being we will have to continue the exams as it is, and Anko, before you say anything, we cannot stop it for any reason since Orochimaru would most likely retaliate in the most destructive way possible. The former student of the Snake Sannin could only nod her head and fume in silence. She felt that they were vulnerable like this at the moment, as she wanted to defend her home against the traitor that made her life hell and prove to those that still doubted her loyalty in the village. The elder shinobi took out his pipe from his desk before adding his favorite tobacco into it and lighting it up with a match. Taking a few puffs from it, he started smoking to help calm his nerves and get his thoughts in order before speaking again to the two in front of him. Anko, I want you to inform the Jonin senseis of each team that made it to the tower with the scrolls they have acquired to continue the exams to let them know they have succeeded. Afterwards, I want you to head to the Anbu headquarters to inform both Nico and Kuma to bring me the Jonin sensei of the genin from Tsunagakure, as I want to have a few words with him concerning one of his students, and you will accompany them. The two shinobi in front of the Hokage could tell from the tone of his voice that he was very upset, and most likely there would be consequences for Tsunagakure after the exams were over. Kakashi, I want you to stay for a few moments, as I wish to speak with you. Anko, you are dismissed. The Tokubetsu Jonin bowed to her leader, and took her leave to meet up with the Anbu. When she was gone, it was just the two men in the room, and it was Hiruzen who decided to speak first. How is Naruto doing right now, Kakashi? The last student of the Yondaime sighed before answering. He hasn't woken up yet, Hokage-sama, but in all honesty I know when he does he is going to be extremely upset, and might blame himself for what happened to Sakura. Worse yet, I'm afraid he might go down a path for revenge against Orochimaru. The student of Hashirama and Tobarama Senju took a few puffs from his pipe before looking at the young Jonin. I'm going to talk to Naruto when he awakens to let him know that he and Sasuke can no longer continue in the exams. I'm also going to make sure to tell him he is not at fault for what happened in the forest. Is there anything for me to do, Hokage-sama? For now there is nothing you can do at the moment. And if Naruto is up to talking to you or anyone, let him do so on his own, as he will need some time to himself. Another thing is both the counselors and I will be reviewing over your work regarding Team 7. Kakashi could only flinch as he was afraid this might happen to him. It was more than likely that he would never get another team after this, and now he regretted entering his students into the chunin exams, thinking it would have been a good idea to make them experience what the real world is all about for them, kill or be killed. You are dismissed, Kakashi. The Jonin bowed to his leader and left the office to leave the old shinobi to his thoughts. Hiruzen leaned back in his chair. His thoughts were going a million miles as he would be dealing with a lot of issues. The first being his former student coming back to the village, and whatever Orochimaru had planned for him and everyone in Konohagakure wouldn't be good. The second issue was going to be informing Sakura Haruno's parents about her demise in the Forest of Death, which he would know right now would be the most heartbreaking experience that every parent went through when losing a child. Her parents had been hesitant, and even against the idea of their daughter choosing such a dangerous career, but the young girl was stubborn as a child. The third and final issue was Naruto, a boy who he saw as a second grandson with a burden that he never asked for and grew up without family, no thanks to the damn fox. He knew that he would suffer from the loss of his first crush, even though the girl held no feelings toward him and only for his other teammate Sasuke Uchiha. Speaking of Sasuke, he heard of what happened between him and Guy's student Rock Lee, wondering how Sasuke would deal with the loss of Sakura as well, hoping it wouldn't cause the boy any more psychological damage than he went through during the Uchiha massacre. Sighing sadly, he even thought how Kakashi would be dealing with this, and it would be most likely the man would feel he dishonored himself and those around him. He then frowned as he thought about the villagers. I swear to Kami-sama, if the idiots of this village even dare blame Naruto for this or even do something incredibly foolish, I will make them wish they were never born. I might even let Naruto vent his frustration on them after what he's had to put up with the last 13 years. It was then that another thought came to mind concerning the seal holding the Kyuubi, and made a mental note to contact Jiraiya as soon as possible to make sure that the demon inside Naruto wouldn't corrupt him and was secured. He didn't need someone like Danzo demanding he be giving to him to be turned into a weapon, or his teammates even suggesting they lock Naruto away. Another issue he just remembered was a genin who wished to speak with him about becoming a citizen, or even a shinobi under his village. Her name was Karen and she came from the village of Kusagakure, an allied village. Though it puzzled him why she would wish to leave her village, he would have to ask her that when she came to see him, but for now he had to plan his next action against Orochimaru, and help Naruto in any way he can, as he knew the boy would need someone by his side soon. He then looked over to the scroll on his desk which contained Sakura Haruno's body. The elder shinobi could only feel sadness and anger as he would have to take her over to the morgue so when her parents could claim her they could prepare a funeral for her. He was sad that such a young girl would never be able to live her life to the fullest and angry at himself, wishing that he now denied Team 7 from entering the chunin exams. I'm afraid that Irika's nightmare has come true. I hope that when he learns of this he will not do anything foolish out of anger or guilt. With those thoughts he gathered the scroll and left his office to make his way to the morgue. To be continued. Chapter 5. The Tragic Aftermath Part 2. Naruto was in pain as it felt like his whole body was stabbed by 1,000 kunais all at once. He started to slowly open his eyes, wondering where he was since it didn't feel like he was laying on the ground of the forest, but what felt like a bed. When his eyes fully opened he saw that he was in a room instead of the forest. How the heck did I end up here? In fact, where the hell am I? How are you feeling right now, Naruto? Naruto became surprised when he heard the voice of the Sandaime Hokage and slowly sat up on the bed he was currently occupied, and though it hurt to sit up. When he managed to sit up he turned over on his right to look at the elder Kage who had a look of concern on his face. Old man, how did I get here? The young shinobi asked his surrogate grandfather. Hiruzen sighed as he knew that what he was about to tell Naruto wasn't going to be one of the most easiest decisions he had made considering the young boy in front of him. He felt he should have done more for Naruto while he was growing up, but with the entire village to look after he was always held back from not only helping the boy but being there for his family as well. It also didn't help with people like Danzo wanting to make Naruto into a weapon, and his teammates were not much help either. Taking a deep breath he looked the boy in the eyes and spoke in a tone that made it clear he was serious and did not want to be interrupted. Naruto, what I am about to tell you might be hard for you to believe, but you mustn't speak until I finish, and it involves you concerning what happened in the forest. The young blonde wanted to speak out as he had so many questions going through his mind, but he nodded instead, as from the look in the old man's eyes this was something as serious as when he found out that he held the Kyuubi on the day he was born. Nodding his head to the Hokage to show he understood, he waited for him to begin. Hiruzen took another deep breath and began to speak. Naruto, there is no easy way to say this, but you had lost control for a while with the Kyuubi's chakra when you went after Orochimaru, and it looked to have been taking over you. There was also the genin team from Sunagekure that had engaged you in combat who were injured during your fight. Naruto's eyes widened when he heard this as he started to slowly remember what happened back in the forest from his fight with the 3 shinobi from Sunagekure to Orochimaru, but then his face started to pale as there was one last thought that came to mind, causing the young man to shake in dread. No! That couldn't have happened to Sakura-chan. This has to be a bad dream. None of this is real. The elder Sarutobi could see the look in Naruto's eyes and knew exactly what was going through his mind, as he had seen it many times during his long career as a shinobi. With a sad, regretful sigh he told Naruto the one truth that he would have to hear even though he wouldn't accept it. I know what it is that you are thinking, Naruto, and it pains me greatly to tell you this, but I am sorry. Sakura is gone. Just like that, Naruto stiffened when he heard those very words that he didn't want to believe in. His mind wanted to deny what he was just told, but deep in his heart he knew it to be true, as he had seen it firsthand. Soon his eyes began to flood with tears as he remembered Sakura's last words to him, and the horrifying memory of seeing Orochimaru running his sword through her right in front of everyone that was with him. He felt grief and sadness, but soon it turned to rage as he stood up yelling loudly, startling the Hokage. The young shinobi began to move toward the door of the room he was in, but then felt pain after a few steps, falling to his knees. Seeing this, Hiruzen quickly went to his side, picking him up and placing him back on the bed with Naruto struggling. Let me go, old man. Let me go right now, damn it. Naruto, stop this at once. Just where do you think you are going when you are injured? Where do you think I am going? Back into the forest to find that bastard and kill him for what he's done to Sakura. The elder Hokage became shocked when he heard this, and his grip on the boy became tight. Absolutely not. I will not allow you to go back in there just to get yourself killed, considering the condition you are in right now. Damn it, old man, let go. I have to get at that monster after what he did. Naruto, you are not going back out there, and I am ordering you to stay here and rest. No. I won't. Naruto, don't be a fool. You are in no condition to go after anyone, much less fight anyone with the way you are now, and even if you were in full health you don't stand a chance against someone who was once my student. I don't care whose student he was, I'm going to kill him. Hiruzen had no choice but to speak to Naruto, as he would speak to not as the kindly grandfather but as the Hokage of Konohagakure. Genin Uzumaki, if you do not stop this now I will have you locked up for insubordination, and if I must remove you from the shinobi forces. Those words alone made Naruto froze up, as he would never had expected the Hokage to say something like that to him. When he stopped he was led back to his bed, sitting down, and then looked at the Hokage with pain-teared eyes. It broke the elder shinobi's heart seeing him like this, but it had to be done, as he knew that if Naruto had tried to go after Orochimaru again he would surely die. With a sad sigh he spoke to him once more in a calmer voice. I am sorry, Naruto, but I have to keep you safe, not just from Orochimaru but from the council and yourself. The council will hear about what happened in the forest, and will see it as an excuse to have you locked up or killed because you lost control with the fox's chakra. Another reason, and I know you don't want to hear this, but you are not strong enough with the way you are now to go after my former student, as he has had years of combat experience while you have only been a shinobi for at least 6 months. Naruto flinched when he heard this from the old man. He didn't want to believe it, as he felt he could accomplish his goal in avenging Sakura's death. But as he started thinking back on when he started his career as a shinobi, he didn't have any other jutsus other than the Kage no Bunshin and the Orochi no Jutsu. He never felt more weak and helpless than he did now. The elder Sarutobi could only look on sadly as the young boy before looked helpless, and hoped that he would be able to help Naruto through with his pain, as the poor boy went through enough grief with the villagers treating him like he was the Kyuubi incarnate to not having a family to be there by his side. If only you and Kushina were still here, Minato, Naruto wouldn't have to deal with something as serious as this and deal with such grief like he is dealing with now. Hiruzen thought to himself and made a note to have Irika be there for Naruto as much as he could. Naruto angrily wiped the tears from his eyes before looking into the Hokage's eyes and asked the first thing that came to mind. So what is going to happen to me and Sasuke? Hiruzen took a deep breath before answering the young blonde's question. I'm sorry, Naruto, but both you and Sasuke will not be allowed to participate in the rest of the exams because of what happened in the forest. You will have to wait until the next chunin exams takes to participate, and you will need a new teammate to replace Sakura. Naruto's eyes narrowed when he heard this before letting out an angry growl which startled the Hokage before taking a deep breath and uttered one word. No. I'm sorry, what did you say, Naruto? I said no, Hokage-sama. I don't want Sasuke Uchiha as my teammate or Hatake as my sensei. The Hokage frowned when he heard this, as he never heard Naruto call him that until now, but was worried about his feelings toward Kakashi and Sasuke. Naruto, why would you say that about your sensei and your friend? The blonde shinobi snarled, causing Hiruzen to take a step back, as the way he snarled like that sounded like that of an angry animal. And before he could say anything, Naruto spoke out in fierce anger. That bastard Sasuke is not my friend. He never was my friend to begin with, and putting me on the same team as him was the stupidest thing you could have ever done. I don't care what you or Irika say, that coward is just as much as to blame for Sakura's death, and the same goes for Hatake and me. Naruto, you need to calm down. You can't blame yourself or Kakashi for what happened to Sakura. The elder Hokage tried to reason with him, but it looked like the boy was not in the mood to listen to him, and spoke out once more. And that asshole Kakashi is no sensei of mine. He never trained me in anything other than one stupid chakra control exercise and nothing else. The same for Sakura. While Sasuke got special training because of those stupid eyes of his. Hell, I found out when coming back from Wave Country that he was giving that bastard more training than he did with me and Sakura, so it's just as much as his fault I wasn't strong enough to save her, or that Sakura couldn't protect herself. Naruto, you shouldn't, Hiruzen began, but was cut off. If you don't believe me, have Ino's dad look into my fucking head. I will never accept that coward as my teammate, or that bastard Kakashi as my sensei, because it's just as much their fault for what happened in. Naruto ended his outburst, taking several deep breaths to try to calm himself. He then brought his knees to his chest before bringing his head down, and began to cry once more. Hiruzen saw this and decided to leave Naruto alone to give him the space he needed. He felt even more regret now for not killing Orochimaru when he had the chance, and because of his mistake, Naruto, Kakashi and Sasuke had lost someone very close to them. Before leaving the room, the elder Hokage gave him parting words. Naruto, I understand the pain you are going through of losing someone very precious to you, as I have lost many precious people to me in my reign as Hokage. I lost both my senseis, my mother, my father, and even my wife. But I continue to strive and live for them, to honor their memories and to not let the pain consume me to the point where I no longer care or stop feeling. Otherwise I would bring shame to them and all we have been through. Naruto looked up hearing the old man's words, as he had forgotten that the man he saw as a grandfather had lived a long time, and must have felt the same pain he was going through. Taking a deep breath, Hiruzen turned around, looking Naruto in the eyes before speaking once more. Do not forget that I am here to help you in any way I can, and I'm sure Irika and anyone else will be willing to help you get stronger. But do not let your hate for Orochimaru or your desire for revenge control you, Naruto. Otherwise you will end up becoming the very thing that you hate. Please think about this and get some rest. With that, Hiruzen left the young Uzumaki alone with his thoughts, as Naruto decided to lay back down to rest. Outside of the room, as Hiruzen closed the door, he looked to his right where 3 ANBU stood, and behind them was Kakashi Hatake, who for once did not have his book out and bore a look that showed the Hokage that he truly regretted putting his students in the exams. Looking toward the ANBU, he gave them his orders. Stay here and keep an eye on Naruto in case he tries to sneak back into the forest. While I trust him not to do anything foolish, I do not want to take the chance with the way he is right now, and whatever you heard, keep it to yourselves. The ANBU nodded to their leader and stood on guard, before Hiruzen looked at Kakashi. Kakashi, come with me. We need to inform everyone of what is going on at the moment. The copycat shinobi nodded as he followed his leader to the council chambers. When they were a few feet away from the room Naruto was in, Hiruzen decided to speak to Kakashi. I take it that you heard everything that was going on in there? Kakashi could only nod his head sadly while sighing. Please do not be upset, Kakashi. Hiruzen continued. Naruto is just greatly upset over what happened and both you and I understand what he is going through as of right now, but he will need someone to guide him in the right path. Kakashi looked at the elder Hokage before speaking. I'm sorry to tell you this, Hokage-sama, but I agree with what Naruto said. It is my fault for what happened to Sakura, and I should have listened to Irika and giving them more time before entering them into the chunin exams. The same could be said for both Asuma and Kurenai, though we're just lucky none of their students had died. Please Kakashi, do not let this affect you the same way like it is with Naruto, because right now he will need someone to teach and to guide him. The son of the Tsukumo Hatake shook his head and sighed. I can't, Hokage-sama. Even if I wanted to teach him, he would most likely be hostile toward me and Sasuke. If anything, I am done taking any more students, as all I seem to do is screw up. The elder Sarutobi could tell that Minato's only living student felt serious about this, and would have to have a talk with him about it another time, and he hoped he could get some therapy for both Naruto and Sasuke to deal with the loss of their teammate. Right now they had a traitor of the village to deal with. In another location, outside the tower, Orochimaru stood quietly around the tower waiting for something, or rather someone. It had taken him a while to avoid any of the ANBU lurking around, no thanks to that brat Naruto unleashing the power of the Kyuubi. What made it even more frustrating was that he wasn't able to give Sasuke the curse mark that would have made the boy crave the power he desired to kill his brother. And now I will have to find another way to get Sasuke's eyes for myself because of that little bastard of a Jinchuriki. No matter, as this is just a minor setback for me. He then heard someone approaching and smiled to see who it was. Ah, Kabuto, I see that you and your teammates have made it in time. Kabuto and his teammates bowed to their leader before speaking. It wasn't easy, Orochimaru-sama, as we did have some issues, but now we await your next orders. The snake Sanni nodded to his subordinate. I'm afraid there has been a change in plans, as I wasn't able to mark Sasuke with my seal because of the village's Jinchuriki. So that's what got all the animals in the forest freaked out. One of Kabuto's teammates spoke as he felt the killing intent from far away. He wore sunglasses and a mask along with wearing the same attire as his teammates. Orochimaru looked to him and nodded. Yes, Yoroi, and because of this I will have to make some changes. One of which is that I want all three of you to continue into the next round of the exams. That means you as well, Kabuto. Kabuto looked in surprise as he was planning to drop out as usual, and decided to ask the Sannin. Why would you want me to participate in the next round, Orochimaru-sama? Because if I know my sensei as well as I do, he will be taking extra measures to ensure that I am captured, and he will look for any leaks into the village. Kabuto nodded as they could find out about him being a spy and track him down. Also, if any of you end up facing Gaara in the next event, forfeit your match, as from what I heard he is quite unstable right now due to getting injured a bit. Orochimaru said to the three before him. They should have put that little shit down in Sunagekure to begin with if he's that nuts. Another of Kabuto's teammates said, with this one wearing regular glasses and had the same out as Yoroi. Quiet, Masumi. Did you not think that fool of a Kazekage hadn't tried to end that failed weapon's life more than once already? Orochimaru scolded his subordinate, causing the young man to wince at the tone before muttering an apology. We shall carry out your orders without delay, Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto said before bowing to him, and then gestured for the other two to follow him. Things were about to get even more chaotic in Konohagakure right now. To be continued. What if Naruto hates Kakashi Chunin exams? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.